Prophet Marshall Occurrence. So this is day two, basically day two of the fast. Almost going into day three. Everything's going good. Energy is up and everything. Very good news, man. You know, this is just a testament when you go to your next level in your spirituality that the Holy Ghost will lead you. Right? And I'm late, well, how long? Let me see. About 2 or 3 years, I really get that higher leading. In the past 2 or 3 years, I get that real mysterious stuff that you might see in the movies. Like, for a perfect example, it's a part of South America called Puerto Williams, right? People like, as in Puerto Rico, Puerto Williams, right? So Puerto Williams is down by Antarctica, right? So I found a church down there near Antarctica. It's like less than 1,000 miles away from Antarctica. So it's very close to Antarctica. In fact, the entire world has to pass through Puerto Williams to get to Antarctica to do research in Antarctica. So I found a church down in Puerto Williams, Chile, in South America. And this is another part of the movie type of spirituality. Puerto Williams is the most southernmost town in the world, which is it's the most southernmost town in the world. That's how they put it, southernmost. That's the term they use. It's the furthest you can go south. It's past Africa. It's past everything. Australia, everything. It's past all that you would see on the east, downward, like Australia and all that. It's beneath all countries. So Puerto Williams is the southernmost town in the entire world. I didn't even know that, but I did try to go as far as down south as I could in South America. That was on my to-do list, and I found a town down there called Puerto Williams. Okay, just so happened the day that I found it, it was on my to-do list to find a state or city that's the furthest down south of South America. So the day I finally got around to doing that, it was November 21st, which is just now 2 months ago. I found that Puerto Williams was actually founded November 21st. I found it November 21st. I looked up all the history on Puerto Williams and found out that it was actually founded on November 21st. And obviously in some other century. But the irony that I would actually find Puerto Williams the southernmost town in the whole world. There's nowhere more southern than Puerto Williams. Who would have known I would have found Puerto Williams on the same day it was founded, November 21st. So that's an example of my level of spirituality, where, you know, you click like that, and you would have been a day off, it would have been something different, or a day before, or a week before, or a week after, it would have been that's an example of the accuracy and synchronicity. And I teach synchronicity too. You can look up my older videos on synchronicity, and but that's an example of my level of synchronicity. The higher levels of synchronicity shows your rank. That's what it's an indication, because a lot of people don't know when they see numbers on the clock and they see certain things that line up. That's called synchronicity. And from a spiritual prophetic perspective, that is a sign that it's not a message. It's more of a statement of your rank. So when you rank high, you have great synchronicity beyond the clock, like beyond 444 on the clock, or 333 on the clock, or 222 on 111. You'll see more. You'll see more synchronicity in just life in general, and just like that, like I said, where I found a state, a country on Puerto Williams is a country. I found it on because they got a flag. Well, it's a town. It's a town because it's within Chile. It's Puerto Williams, Chile, so it's a town. But I was thinking about the flag, so I was kind of confused with the flag. But even every state has a flag. But that shows you like my level of synchronicity beyond the clock, where you can line up with November 21st, and Puerto Williams was found November 21st. So I found a church down there, and I sent money way down there, to almost down there where Antarctica is at. So that's how far my name has went in the earth, where now I'm way down there where I know nobody ain't going. These famous people ain't going to Puerto Williams. So that's the difference. See, that was one of the main things I realized, is that some of these famous people ain't never been there. Some of these military people and all these weirdos and secret society people, they ain't been to Puerto Williams. You know what I'm saying? Puerto Williams is the most southernmost town in the world. It goes the furthest down south. Then Africa. It's way past Africa. It's way past Africa. It's near Antarctica. I think it's like actually 600 miles to 600, 700 miles away from Antarctica. It's that close. So as you can imagine, you probably can see it. You probably can see Antarctica from there. People that have traveled a lot, and you know what it is to see different mountain ranges and different parts of different places from a distance. You would easily understand that probably from Puerto Williams you could see Antarctica. So that's an example of being led by the Holy Ghost. That's an example of it. Yeah. So the same thing happened with me finding the oldest African American neighborhood in the whole country. Mind you, this is not what I set out to do. So I find what is considered by everybody's standard, not just by American standard or whatever. I did some brief research. This is considered based on AI. AI is going to pull all the information together. That's why I really like AI as far as research. As far as research, I like AI because what it's going to do is find all the information and compare it all and put everything in proper context and everything. And that's based on all information that you could possibly find on the internet and everything. That's what it's based off of, in essence. And so when I was looking for a church in New Orleans to start taking the spiritual warfare to another level as far as attacking witchcraft, I looked up the neighborhoods, African American neighborhoods that had the most highest levels of witchcraft in New Orleans. Now, the reason why I did that, because I want to find a church, a Christian church, right in the middle of that, because they were specialized in fighting witchcraft on a higher level, right? Where they're right in the middle of witchcraft. So I found a church in the Tremé area, which is French, Tremé. Tremé is the oldest African American community in the whole country. I didn't know that. Wasn't setting out to do that. Like I said, I was just looking for a church in the area of the highest levels of witchcraft in New Orleans in the African American community. So I found Tremé in the process of that, and Tremé is one of the communities with the most highest levels of witchcraft. And so I found a Christian church in that community to give to give spiritual offerings to. And it gave additional information that Tremé is the oldest African American community in the country, which you could say in the world. I mean, common sense. I mean, self-explanatory. So it's the oldest African American community in the world. And I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, okay. Like they say, you learn something new every day. But yeah, I think that's amazing, you know, because we can't let people act like we the outsiders and we God's true black people. We can't let culture people act like they represent God and African people when they don't. They represent witchcraft black people. I'm talking about the ones around here. I ain't talking about New Orleans right now. I'm talking about the ones around here and other places, the weirdos. In their spaced out perspective, they think also that the black Freemasons will think this, the 5%ers. Those type of people will think that they own blackness, that you can't go above. If you black, you gotta come see them, basically. You get it? Like, you gotta come check in with these folks. If you black, you don't. You don't gotta check in. In fact, you don't gotta have nothing to do with them. And you're still black. You still, in other words, it's another side. And that's what you gotta make clear. This is another side. Now, you ain't gonna make us weird over here and like we sellouts over here and over there. And really the truth is we just created a whole nother side that you ain't a part of. And that's where the control freak part comes in. Where all these 5%ers and all these people that followed Clarence X, I know all about Clarence X. I know all about Clarence X, but I'm Marcello Currents, not Clarence Currents. Close, ain't it? It's close. Maybe my ops thought about that. Clarence X and Marcello Currents. His name is Clarence, mine is Currents. But maybe you just now thought about it. My name is Donnell Currents. And the leader of the 5%ers is called Clarence. He's named Clarence X, right? But my point is this, man. You don't gotta check in with those folks to be black. And God's kingdom done made another side. We got our own side. We don't have to check in with all those individuals over there in the whole pro-black community. That's what I'm trying to show you. Because we are the original design that God had in mind, not them. They're not the full design. So you don't let them sit up and play with you till you get butthurt towards black people, till you say, forget it, I don't want nothing to do with all black people. That's what they want you to do, so they can claim supremacy with black people. So what you have to do is you have to realize that, okay, we another side. We're not a part of them, and we not gonna let them make us disclaim or which word I want to use. Don't claim our blackness and our African heritage because of them trying to fight us, because that's the whole reason it happened. So we don't renounce our African heritage because of this war between the righteous African and the wicked Africans. If you don't know what's going on, see, that's how I've been distinguishing it anyway. That's how you know I ain't never really got off track, because I didn't just go off and say, oh, that's just black people. Because that's what they want so bad, is to just represent what it is, the total thing, the total embodiment. But no one tribe can do that. That's 7 out. No one tribe of African can embody all Africans. You got 1 million tribes of Africans. So you can embody maybe at best African American, but you can't embody all these different tribes of African in Africa. Nobody can do that. Nobody can do it. Nah, you can't do it, because especially because there's just so many different worldviews when it comes to different tribes, where they don't even agree with all the things that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, every tribe of African cannot, there's no one tribe of African that necessarily reigns supreme, necessarily, which means you can't embody all African in one tribe. It's not possible. The only way, the closest way you can get to it is God's people. Because we are the true design of what God intended, okay? And as Africans, we represent the full design of what how Africans should function, God's people. Not cultured people, not Africans without God. So, you know, we the closest thing to it of God's image of African. The only way you can be God's image of African, as it should be, is a righteous African. You can't be that on your own. You can't be that because you set out to do it. The only way you're going to be God's full design of African is to be righteous. So you're going to be missing something if you're not. If you're not righteous, you're not going to be the full design of African, okay, that God intended. And it don't matter what you do to manipulate. You can have money, you can have fame, you can have power. But if you do not follow righteousness, you are not the full design of what God intended for African to be. So I keep getting led the right way. You see what I'm saying? That's how you know my heart's in the right place. That's how you know God is leading me, because I didn't try to find the oldest African American neighborhood. I didn't try to find that. And you know, a lot of people, I mean, they made a series on it. HBO made a series on it, but and I'm obviously sure that the New Orleans area, the Louisiana area is aware of that, but it's not in the culture enough. Let's put it like that. It's not out, the information is not out there enough where the oldest neighborhood or community, let's say community because it's probably bigger than the average neighborhood, is Treme in New Orleans. So the oldest neighborhood, African American neighborhood, is in New Orleans. So we have to claim our position when we find that God is leading us like that, to where, oh, God is leading this person to the oldest African American neighborhood. He ain't even tried. He didn't even try to do that. You know, that's how you know that person is high ranking. I mean, that's just amazing to me. You know, and so we're gonna get that going, you know what I'm saying? Because that represents literally the roots. Now I'm literally connected to the roots. I already sent them a prayer request that they should have got this morning. You know what I'm saying? I already connected to them, communicated with them, sent them an email, I guess you could say, sent my email and everything like that. So I already communicated with Treme and this morning. So it's already done, you know what I'm saying? It's already on and popping, you know what I'm saying, in the right direction. And so, you know, all we doing is moving forward with what God want us to do, you know what I'm saying? Because we're going to prove to be more supreme than the culture. I want to make that clear. We're going to prove to be more supreme than the culture. Because you got all these nooks and crannies, even in South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, it's not the oldest neighborhood of African American. There's one of them in Florida, some of them in Florida, you know, but not the oldest. The oldest is considered Treme in New Orleans, and I'm also work with Seventh Ward too. Seventh Ward is considered one of the most potent places of witchcraft. So I'm gonna find a church maybe next year, because I want to just work with Treme for a while, because that's the oldest African American neighborhood. Seventh Ward is not. Seventh Ward is just known for, with Treme, as one of the most potent neighborhoods of witchcraft in New Orleans. So, by the way, I've been working with the French Quarter for like 2 years, going on 2 years. So this year will be 2 years. In March, it'll be 2 years since I've been working with New Orleans, just in case you think I just jumped off the porch. You know what I'm saying? I've been working with New Orleans for like a couple years, sending money down there, connecting with people down there. Matter of fact, I mean, it's just most people that spiritual gon' eventually venture to New Orleans. It's just common sense, because that's one of the most spiritual places in the country. So you can't really even say where the source comes from, except people realizing it's a highly spiritual place. You know, so nobody really can take credit for why you did it, or you know what I mean, some kind of stuff like that. You know, but like, these are 2 books I got from New Orleans right here. This is straight from New Orleans. I finished one of them, but I still got to read the other one. And but these are 2 books from New Orleans that a pastor in the French Quarter sent me. This comes from the French Quarter, literally. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so that lets you know New Orleans has been on deck. You know, New Orleans has been close to me. You know what I'm saying? I got people praying for me in New Orleans. That person probably still praying for me. I'm gonna try to connect with him again. I just haven't heard from him from a while, and you know, I'm gonna try to connect with him again. And that's the only reason really I ain't connecting with him. But God works in mysterious ways, you know, because if me and him would have stayed kind of connected, I might have wouldn't even look for another church in New Orleans. The only reason I did is because I kind of lost touch with him or whatever. I think because I sent some money or something, and I didn't get a response or nothing. I ain't got a response from him. So that's what made me venture out to Treme and found out that that's the oldest neighborhood in the African American community. Now, a lot of people might have heard that information, and they've heard it before, but they didn't. It went in one ear and it went out the other. You know what I'm saying? Instantly, when I heard this, I was just like, wow. You know? So, like I said, it's hands down the oldest neighborhood. I've already communicated with them. It's Sunday, so they got my email this morning, and they probably prayed for me this morning. So it's already connected. It's already done. You know what I'm saying? That's because we not gonna let this certain sect of African Americans act like they rule. I know what I'm talking about. I know what energy I'm talking about, and they not in the right spirit to rule. You got to be in the right spirit to rule. You can't rule any kind of old rinky-dink old kind of way. It ain't gonna work, especially here in America. You can't rule any kind of way. You got to know the geographics of your country and how to rule in your country. And here, you ain't gonna rule being nasty and doing all this underhanded ratchet nastiness, and people find it out. They ain't gonna let you rule. And it looks good to hip hop, it looks good to the culture, but when you go to the real righteous Africans, you can't rule over them. See, to rule, you gotta be able to rule over the righteous. If you can't rule over the righteous, that means something ain't right about you. If you can't rule over the righteous people, that means something ain't right about you. And basically, you're not profitable for rule and reign. You rule through evil. You don't rule through righteousness. And any kingdom that rules through evil won't last very long. That's why it was inevitable for America to fall. It was just a matter of time. So all you're looking at is the other side. You know what I'm saying? And somebody that represented well to this culture and everything. Because one thing about it is I found out like Christian rappers, and no disrespect, a lot of people that go into the culture. The problem is you merge almost to their side without representing this side, and like we got legs on our own. This kingdom got legs on our own, which means we don't need to depend on the African American culture for nothing. And you know what I mean when I say that. I'm talking about the present day African American culture, which everybody think you gotta run to. That culture you think everybody think you gotta run to. You don't gotta know them people. You don't gotta run to them people. And you are African American on your own. And we got legs on where we can run over here on our own. We got legs of our own. We don't gotta go over there to be considered black. Now you see what I'm saying? We don't gotta go over there and connect with them to be considered authentic. And so we show that we're authentic African American without them. And that's what they can't stand. That's the control freak in these people that's here in America. You can't stand that we ain't gotta come see you. They can't stand that we ain't gotta check in. They can't stand that we consider we taken seriously without checking in with them. That's all it is. That's the pattern in America. You got to understand your country. Everybody think in this country you got to run to certain people. Hallelujah. You got to run to certain people to be taken seriously. You got to run to certain communities to be taken seriously. I'm going to go the opposite of where everybody going, and God going to lead me. And that's how I get led all the time. Because when your soul is where it is, when your soul is what it is, I don't care what people think of you, you gonna be led right, and how they think they represent something, they gonna be looking quite stupid when they realize they don't represent what they thought they represented. No, you don't. Because see, to be black, to me, this is what it is to be black. You represent black thought, black worldviews, and you preserve black lives. That's how we measure. This is the best way to say it. This is how we measure blackness. We measure blackness by black worldviews, to preserve black lives, black movements, and black purposes and black causes. If we measure you and your intellect, and you don't have anything that shows how to preserve black lives and black perspective and black worldviews, we measure you at a lower level of blackness than you might perceive that you have. Because everybody don't got it. Because they black, obviously. Okay? Because you got people they call Uncle Toms, sellouts, whatever. So, okay, so they black technically. Right? But you got another extreme also where people kill black people. Okay, that's an extreme too. They look black. They kill black children, but they look black. They got dreads, they got gold teeth, they got all that going. But when you measure their blackness as far as worldviews, actual work that they do for black people, black movements, black culture, black movements, black preserving black lives, they don't do that in their worldviews. So if you out here kill them and shoot them up, black people only, and you only talk about killing black people, because I talk about giving it to anybody. And you can tell the difference if you listen to somebody's worldview, or you can listen to somebody that's trapped in the hood and they only talk about killing black people. You only talking about killing black people, which means, even though you might say subconsciously you'll give it to anybody, but half of them won't, because you're scared of what the system will do to you if you kill somebody white. Some black people are scared of the system, of what would happen if you kill a white woman or a white man. I don't care who it is, and I make that very clear, and that's the difference. Now you claim to be pro-black, but you out here only talking about killing black people, but you never entertain the thought that maybe you would have to kill somebody from a different race other than your own. No, look how people programmed, especially when you deep in the hood. You ain't thinking about killing nobody but black people. Check yourself. Think about it. That's all you're thinking about. You ain't thinking about, well, I'm just a militant. I kill anybody. Now you're gonna give the right answer. You're gonna say that if I ask you. But in actuality, you're not thinking about killing nobody else but black people. That's all you think about. I'm thinking about, my thoughts is, I'll kill any of these people. Whether they white, black, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, whatever else. That's how you gotta be as a soldier. Now, everybody, you would think that because a dude got a strap, he'll kill anybody. That's not true. Because some people gonna hesitate when it comes to killing other people. I promise you that's the truth. And you know what? The older they get, the more true that is. The old school ain't gonna kill no white people. Oh, they ain't gonna kill no white people because they scared you gonna get thrown under the prison. They scared you, they gonna get thrown under the prison. It's safe to kill a black person. It's safe to rob a black person. They gonna rob white people. They'll rob people in the hood, but you won't go across town and make that extra effort and actually get more money robbing somebody white. My whole thought is, if you're gonna go on licks, why don't you go across town and rob these white folks? I mean, if you're gonna be about it, be about it. Why don't you go and go across town where these dudes coming out the bars? I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying. These dudes getting drunk, coming out the bars, smoking cigarettes late at night, and they safe in their own world. How you and they ain't gonna miss that money? You robbed them for $700. They gonna go right to the ATM and get $700. They might flex and get $1,400 just to flex. Well, I got more money. I'll go get $1,400. He robbed me for $700. I'll go get $1,400. He drunk. He's still tipsy, ain't he? He's still tipsy, right? And he say, I'll go. He robbed me for $700. I'll go get $1,400. In fact, I'll just get $2,100. Why not? I'll just go get $2,100 out of the bank. Think they did something to me? It ain't about race. Hey, this white boy ain't racist, but he gonna say this though. It ain't about race, but you ain't breaking me. Listen, you think you're hurting me? I can go get 21. You rob me, I go get $2,100. You rob me from $700. I'll go get $2,100. He ain't racist. But he gonna flex. I'll show him. He just don't know. I got it. Yeah, you got it, which means you ain't gonna be missing it, which means you ain't gonna call the police either. Man, some dudes, it's got so much money, they ain't gonna call the police if you rob them, man. If you do it just right. If you don't hit them on the head with a gun, you don't do nothing to them. And if you just take it, what they gonna do? I'm talking about white boys these days. They ain't gonna call the police. No, they not. When you start hitting them and manhandling them and strong arming it, that's when they gonna call the police. And you hit them just right, just smooth, and get that money. Them white boys gonna count it as a loss, man, and go get more money out the ATM. Am I right or wrong? Y'all know exactly what type of white boy I'm talking about. He ain't gonna call no police because he still think he down with the streets anyway. He think he down with black people anyway. So he gonna think he's sticking to a code. oh, you know the type? He gonna take that L. He gonna take that L. You gonna take that 700 and flip it. He gonna take that L. He gonna go get $2,100 out the bank, and he ain't missed that money. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like, reaching back, give it back. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not telling you to go do that. That's all I'm saying is, but if you're really about that life, man, you know what I'm saying? Think about it. That's why you got some robbers that's really about that life. They go up in the bank. That's 100. They go up in the bank, buddy. And some people just rob JoJo down the street for $200. And JoJo ain't got no money. You gonna rob JoJo for $200. You know how many people do that? Rob JoJo around the way instead of saying, you know what, I got me a pistol. I'm gonna go across town and give me some real money and catch somebody slipping over there. You know what I mean? These dudes come out drunk outside these clubs, you know what I'm saying, smoking a cigarette and they ain't gonna be slipping, gonna have plenty of money to trick off on. They gonna have plenty of money to trick off on. You go around the bars, that's the I mean, they gonna have cameras though. They gonna have cameras. That's the only thing. They gonna, cause them fights and everything. You think about it. Around the bars, they gonna have cameras. They gonna have cameras. But hey, all you gotta do is be at a distance. All you gotta do is measure it at a real good distance where ain't no cameras, and they still gonna slip in your zone. You feel me? But I'm just saying. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm not telling you to do that. I'm not telling you to do that. But I'm just saying, for people that do it, you know, don't be programmed against your own people. And you scared to go rob somebody with some money. You know what I mean? That really got it. And they ain't gonna miss it. They gonna go replace it. Like you rob somebody in the hood for $700. They hurt. You hurt them, boy. You hurt a lot of them. You rob somebody for $700. You hurt them. You set them back 2 months. You done set them back in a major way. This white boy gonna go get $2,100 out the bank. Man, listen, less than two hours after you did that. He ain't gonna call the police or nothing, depending on how you do it. You know what I'm saying? But if you beat him up real bad, he gonna be vindictive. You know, that's first thing first. He gonna be vindictive. He gonna want revenge. He gonna look at his face and everything. You cut his face and all that. Nah, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? You don't do nothing to him. You don't cut his face. You don't hit him with the gun, with the butt of the gun. You don't hit him. Listen, he gonna you know, a white boy gonna just charge you to the game. No, I'm just saying. You know what I'm talking about though. He gonna just charge us the game. Well, yeah, I got robbed, you know what I'm saying? Think about it. He ain't gonna call the police, cause he halfway down with black people, if he ain't racist, and he gonna just charge it to the game. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not telling you to do that. That's all I'm saying. This is my disclaimer. I'm just going through how people are. You know what I'm saying? Well, they'll rob people over here, and it just never made sense to me. That shows me the higher caliber that I am, even as if I was a criminal. It just, I ain't gonna rob this JoJo over here for $200. I'm gonna go across town where I know this dude. Well, basically, society is give and take, and you ain't gonna miss this money. You ain't gonna really miss this money. I mean, you gonna go get more money, so it ain't, you see what I'm saying? It's like the cycle of life. You dig it. It's like, okay, you ain't gonna really miss this money. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna hurt you. You know what I'm saying? I just need some money. You know what I'm saying? And and you ain't gonna just give it to me. So that's how I gotta do it. But I'm just saying. Now you gonna go rob JoJo, and then you gonna have beef in the hood for robbing JoJo for like what, $200-$300, $500 in bed, $700. You rob him for $700, but JoJo want revenge. White boy ain't saying nothing. White boy letting it go. He letting it all go. He ain't gonna say, yeah, I got robbed. He think he got more street cred, don't he? Yeah, I got robbed. You know, and I'm just saying, I'm not being racist when I say that. It's just who got the money. It's whoever it is got the money. Why not go to them? That's all I'm saying. It don't matter. It just so happened that it be a certain race, but I'm not saying go rob white boys because they easy to rob. They the ones got the money. So my logic is, if I'm going on licks, why I'm gonna go rob Bobo? Bobo ain't got no money. I'm gonna go rob this dude. He got plenty of money in the bank. He ain't gonna miss no $700. He gonna go get $2,100 to flex. He gonna flex on you without having to flex on you. Well, you ain't there, but he flexing. He flexing after the fact. You know what I mean? That's like my logic. And then you don't see a lot of people, they scared to go that far. That's what I'm saying. A haphazard person. And see, you have to question the worldviews of that kind of person. Okay, you'll sit over here and rob your own people, and you know they ain't got no money. Instead of just not being lazy, going out, stepping out your comfort zone a little bit, you know what I'm saying, get yourself professional, being a little more professional, and then as a result, getting more money. You know what I'm saying? It's different caliber of criminals, it's different caliber of worldviews, and if you out here just robbing and killing and stealing from your own people, man, there's no way your blackness is going to be measured very great. That's my whole point. We can't measure your greatness as real great And like I said, I'm not saying go target another race of people, but just so happen in our situation, we ain't got the money. So it's that, and it's also, why rob your own people? You see what I'm saying? Why rob and kill and steal from your own people? I mean, some people are justified and feel like, they robbed us all the time. Hey, why not? They ain't gonna miss this money, just like I said. They ain't gonna miss that money. That white boy gonna recover. He can go get money from his uncle. $700 from his uncle. Cash app too. Yeah, somebody robbed me. Uncle done sent $800, $900. Done sent that 21 minutes. He done text his uncle in the middle of the night while he's sitting out there smoking a cigarette, right? His uncle done sent him $900, man. That's all. I'm telling you, this stuff happens. You think it's a game? It's not. It's not a game. He can text his uncle and get $900. He come out $200 more than we would have. He happy because he got $200 more from what you did. And you good and he good. It's the circle of life. The cycle of life. You know what I'm talking about. He good, you good. See, if you're a real lion, you're going to understand the cycle of life. You're going to pay attention. This situation is famished. Why I'm over here doing this, trying to eat over here? But see, the law will be stern. The law will make you pay if you get caught over there. And see, that's how they work on your psychology. If I go over there and I find myself in a white neighborhood doing crimes, they gonna throw the book at me. They gonna make sure you don't come over here, boy. That's how they gonna put it. But hey, just like you still down for your crime, hey, you gonna still be down with it or you're not. You're gonna go right back on over there. But see, some people program not to do that. If you think about it, that's where all the money at. All you gotta do is be clean with it and know how to act after you do that. You know what I'm saying? You get on the train, you act normal. You know what I'm saying? You switch up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you catch a taxi, call, like you that good, catch you a taxi. It's like an operation. Call you a taxi, I need a cab. You over there on the back of somewhere, you telling them where you at. How the taxi gonna know what's going on? You off that side of town with the taxi. Boom, you got money, you just got money. You don't mind breaking a little bread, getting out of, you know what I mean? Getting back on your side of town. That's the best way to do it instead of going through the subway. Man, that's all I'm saying, man. Listen, I told you, man, some people have a mentality to do things, you know what I'm saying? I just choose not to do it, you know what I'm saying? But I can get tight and professional if I wanted to, if I was in the world, if I was out there doing those things. And my thing is this, you gonna get more bread. And those looking little nooks and crannies, when them people slipping, they ain't expecting no black people to be in their neighborhood. That's what's gonna catch them off guard right there. That's what's gonna catch them slipping. They ain't gonna expect you, they in their own little world. They out there drinking and you know what I'm saying? You know how it is in these white neighborhoods. They just chilling, drinking all night, standing outside, smoking cigarettes, eating food, random food, late at night, going to get food. They slipping. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not condoning this behavior. I'm just showing you how the world is and how you can't be black and your black, you can't measure your blackness can't be great if you don't see things this way and you just get comfortable. You comfortable robbing people around the way. I mean, that's a type of laziness, you know what I mean? That's a lazy criminal. So I'm just addressing things, you know what I'm saying, and showing you how it could be. Because it ain't like, you can't say the person, you going to get caught. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You just thinking you going to get, how you going to get, they ain't catching it. I mean, the police is laxed over there. Because ain't nobody doing it. Ain't nobody doing it. They laxed. Okay, you go over there, slide over there, boom. All you gotta do is watch out for cameras. That's how they get everybody, right? That's all you gotta do is watch out for cameras. Don't do nothing stupid like go to a 7-Eleven after you rob somebody. Like an idiot, you know what I'm saying? Be aware of the cameras. Don't go nowhere over on that side of town. You go straight back to your side And then you don't go to no stores over there. You get everything you need, or send somebody else to do an errand. Send somebody, you got some homies or something. I'm just saying, I'm not telling you to do it, but you send somebody else to go do an errand. You got a little bread, I mean, but at least back on your side, you don't do nothing over there. You don't flex or nothing and go. Stupid people do that and then go into a store where all these cameras, all the police gonna do is look at all the cameras around the area. That means they gonna go to the convenience stores. They gonna go to the cameras that's on the boulevards. They gonna look at all the cameras and follow you like a video game. And they gonna say, okay, here's a person right here. Here's a sketchy person right here. You got a hood on. Okay, now we gonna track him from here to there, and they gonna follow you all the way down the yellow brick road, and that's how they catch people. If you don't know, that's how the police. How you think they catch people? They catch people by cameras. That's how they catch people. They don't catch people by word of mouth. They don't catch people because they good at what they do. They catch people by cameras. Okay, they got a whole bunch of cameras all up and down every street. And then your whole thing is riding on the back streets to avoid cameras. So if you do anything, you're going to go on all back streets. That's why you got to learn your city on all back streets where ain't no cameras. That's how you're going to get away. If you hit prime time boulevards, prime time avenues, you're going to get caught. Going into stores and everything. That's what I'm saying. It's higher level of criminals. That's all, you got to go on back streets, and in the southern city, it's very easy to do that. You can go, like in Charlotte, where I'm from. When I used to drive a car in Charlotte, my girlfriend's car, I used to drive my girlfriend's car around, right? Charlotte is a city where you can hit all back streets to any side of town. I don't got to go to a boulevard or a highway. It's made to where I can go from the west side to the east side on all back streets. All back streets if I want to. Yeah. I can go on all back streets. Yeah. You can go on all back streets to any part of town. You just got to know how to do it. But you can basically you can avoid most boulevards. You can avoid it. The only thing is you might have to dip through downtown and get to another side. But you can ride the back streets through the whole side of town, through the whole west side. You can go through the back streets, hit the downtown, and then go through the back streets of the east side. But then when you come through downtown, you're gonna be kind of not on the back streets. You're gonna have to dip into the back streets. But I'm still sure that even without going downtown, you can dip through all the back streets of Charlotte, and you don't have to go on any prime boulevards or avenues or anything like that. But you gotta like even considering, man, that this country becomes our enemy. You could use this psychology of understanding things like that and how to avoid getting caught. You could use this in military perspective. You know what I'm saying? When these people become our enemies, which they already are, we avoid cameras. We hit all back streets. That's just food for thought. So, one's blackness is measured by your worldviews, how much you preserving black lives, black thoughts, and black perspective and black movements. That's what makes you black. When the war breaks out, it's a nasty thing. So I'm gonna let you know. That when these wars break out between each other, there's no holds barred. Just like it was no holds barred against me. Okay, so don't act like cause you did it to a black person and I'm doing it to a black person. Right. It's just the only thing is different is that you value that person over me, which is the point. We gonna hit what you value. We gonna hit what you treasure. You see what I'm saying? All it is a war between the righteous Africans and the wicked Africans. And they didn't think we could get down like this. They thought they had all the goods to fight. In other words, they thought they had all the fighting styles, and we ain't have no fighting styles as the righteous. That's 7 out. You thought we ain't have no fighting styles. How you feeling about that now? How you feel about that? We got fighting styles, buddy. We just had the wrong senseis and teachers. Like, my point of view is this: if you're a black man and you're a Christian, you need at least one good black sensei that's gonna teach you about being a Christian in America. I'm not saying you can't listen to white American Christians. I listen to some myself. I listen to Hispanic and Latino Christian ministers and senseis. You can have white Christian senseis, but Asian Christian senseis. But you need, being that you're black, you need someone to have that extra insight into the black experience being here in America. So if you're a black Christian, you need a black minister to show you how to move here in America. Because they gonna treat you like a black man at face value. Okay? Now, I know Christians gonna, first thing you gonna say, well, the devil is a liar. God is gonna take care of me and protect me, and I ain't gotta live subject to being black, and I ain't gonna go through nothing because I'm black, because I'm a child of God. Okay, I get that. But all I want you to do is understand wisdom. Use wisdom. You still can have people use their free will to do you harm because you black. Okay? Let's look at history. Some of these black Christians went through stuff in America. They used to burn black churches. They used to burn crosses in front of churches. Black churches, right? Okay. So, you have to have somebody to teach you that you got to have a fighting style in America, where if you are targeted by white Americans, you can use spiritual weapons to get these people up off you. You ain't gonna be no docile sheep or docile lamb in America where these white folks can just run over you because you a Christian. And so how do you fight back? Okay, well, you listen, first thing first. You have to understand that God allows you to be a warrior. A warrior. He don't have a problem with you being a warrior. First thing you have to establish, is this war a justified war? That's how you get God on your side. No, listen, I'm talking about a real war. I ain't talking about street ghetto wars. No, I'm talking about all the way up. You know what I mean? What you got to get is God on your side. By your war being justified. When your war is justified, God is going to back you. If these people gang stalking you and using witchcraft and using the whole community and building against you, you don't think God going to back your war? Of course. So you got to separate from people that's in American Christianity that act like we all together. Remember, you're a black man. You're watching out for human beings because you black. You got to watch out for human beings. That sums it up right there. That's gonna lead you right on down your right journey. As a black man, you have been targeted like an animal, like hunting animals. They see a black man and they hunt him like he an animal, man. Literally, man. Okay, so then you got to keep that in mind. You don't look at none of this stuff that's on TV. You don't look at none of this stuff. And you can't even look at how it look like black people together. You can't look at that. Because you go out here and you get robbed. They rob you as you Bobo and you ain't even got no money. You get robbed in the place of Bobo because you ain't got no money, bruh. I mean, instead of them going across town and robbing somebody over there, you know what I'm saying, that really got it. In nooks and crannies. I mean, that just makes sense to me. I'm not condoning it though, but they'll rob you, your own people. You go down the wrong block, like I like to put it. You go down the wrong block. I'm just telling you the condition of the battlefield, whether you love black people or not. That's what I'll tell you. You can love them all day, but if you go down the wrong block, you're gonna get robbed. Right now in the snow, right now. If you slip, that's the perfect time to do it. Police ain't even out there. See, I know how criminals think. Police ain't even out there. Somebody kind of slipping in the snow. Boom. Ow. It's over. You gonna listen, man. It's too. You gonna just try to go ahead and get home and count that as an L. If you out there in this snow right now, and then don't be halfway, can't walk good and can't halfway walk around, and you halfway slipping through that snow, animals are gonna get you, man. Lions gonna get you, cause you out there slipping through the snow. You know what I'm saying? And the police gonna be, you know what I'm saying, slowly but surely coming. They ain't gonna pull up too easy, too good, and then you get through that snow good. It's over with, man. You know what I'm saying? Everybody throwed off from the snow, the shade of the snow. The snow, ironically, it shaded the whole mindset of the people. They blurred, you know what I'm saying? They more focused on that snow. You know, you dip and dab through that snow. All these people think about right now is that snow. That's all they think about. So guess what? A good criminal gonna catch some people slipping out here. Boom. Trying to get out here with money and everything. You got to listen, trying to get out here and do stuff. You know how some people are? Trying to get out here and do stuff and everything out here in the snow. Somebody catch you slipping. It ain't gonna hit the news. It's just gonna be another robbery. So it's happening right now. You ain't gonna hear it on the news. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you, like, people out here slipping, and what you think they're gonna do? They're gonna charge you to the gang. They you know, it's a hassle. You know, they already out there in the snow. They just want to get back home. That's all they want to do. You know, so you gotta look at things for what they are. I mean, people thought for sure I was lame. They thought for sure I was somebody to play with, and like I'm always gonna say, man, listen, you can't get me. You can't get me on something corny and stuff like that. My mind is too developed and too mature, and I'm gonna articulate that maturity, and you're gonna be out there like a clown talking about whatever you talking about, and ain't nobody gonna acknowledge you. And that's it. That's all there is to it. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna acknowledge that. I know where my head is at. So you thought you had a little pet. You thought I was your little pet. You had a leech on me, and you thought you had me controlled, and you realized you really didn't at all. You didn't have me controlled at all. Now you realize that all I did was played it low and got in the trenches and took care of my business. Because of my lack of movement, people thought I was controlled. That's what they gonna think. If you ain't going nowhere, but why should you? They got it all swamped down and rampant with gang stalking. Why would I go anywhere? You know what I'm saying? Why would I be out here? Okay, I'm gonna get in the trenches. See, what people didn't realize, this is why they thought I was controlled, because they didn't think I would be doing anything in here. They didn't think I would be doing anything in here. So if the only reason he in there is not for a good reason. He ain't in there because he doing something. He ain't in there because he fasting. He ain't in there staying out the way, giving offerings on his phone. Oh, not just in the mailbox, on the phone too. Okay, so he ain't doing none of that. They ain't thinking that, right? They thinking, okay, he ain't doing nothing but sitting in there in the room. So we got him controlled. Little you know, I done set this up as a whole fort. This is a whole trench. This is the trenches, spiritual trenches. And that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? But a stupid person is going to look at me and see the lack of activity, moving around, and they're going to think that person can't be normal. Under the circumstances of war, it's perfect. And you're so stupid, you should realize it's a war. So once you realize it's a war, now you see why I ain't on the streets. Why would I be? They out there manipulating everybody. Why would I go out there? Why would I go out there and lollygag and stand around and they manipulate their whole thing, their whole signature move is to manipulate the whole community. To make you feel like they're outing you or they're against you. That's stuff in teenager land. That's teenager land for me, buddy. That's teenager land. I don't, because I'm too old to care about the social aspect of life like a kid would. A kid cares about the social aspect of life. I'm 44 years old. I don't care about the social aspect of life as I once did. So every day I draw more away from the social aspect, which means all that talking out there you doing and everything is in vain because I don't even care about it. And every day I care less about it. I don't care about that. You can tell people whatever you want. As long as I'm in this room, I'm going to challenge anybody on what they talk about. I'm gonna make you look stupid. You come talking to me. That's how you get them. I'm gonna make you, whatever you talk about, I'm gonna make you look stupid. You can go with what they talking about, but I'm gonna make you look stupid if it ain't no reality to it. Even if they right, I'm gonna make you. I'm gonna wonder what you talking about. What you talking about, buddy? I'm in this room. What you talking about? Huh? I'm gonna make you look like you're retarded. If you come try to challenge me on psychological stuff, I'm gonna make you look stupid. What y'all talking about? Huh? What, buddy? See, that's when you know you done ventured into the retarded world with these psychics and telepaths. And guess what? They ain't got no real tangible receipts in the real world, and I'm gonna make a fool out of you if you try to confront me about it. I mean, that's what it is. See, you gotta know how to play the game, buddy. See, this is what's gonna hurt your feelings. This is what's gonna break your soul right here, buddy. It's all about the real world, right? So everything that we doing, look how we are dominating the real world while you playing psychological games. That ain't gonna stop what we doing. That ain't gonna prevent us dominating the whole situation. You can read minds all day long. I mean, but it's not gonna stop these wars out here. It ain't gonna stop these people getting capped by ICE. Putting caps in people from ICE. You know, it ain't gonna stop ICE from putting caps in people, busting caps in people. You know, so you know, it ain't gonna stop ICE from busting caps in people. They done caught a body just a minute ago. Now they talking about they gonna shut down the government. They gonna shut it down the government partially, a partial shutting down of the government, right? That's gonna happen next Friday, possibly. They ain't funded ICE. See, these the real wars that's taking over this psychological realm that these people are so focused on, this little cartoon game that they set up for the community. What's taking over that is these real wars in real time, bruh. That's gonna eventually, if you don't understand, what I'm getting at is these wars right here is gonna eventually overcome all this foolishness that they doing. To where you listen, buddy, you're gonna be forced to face this stuff. You might not be looking at the news right now because you're trying to avoid the wins that we got. You don't want to look at it. Okay, but eventually you're gonna have to face these wins. You're gonna have to face that this country is collapsing and falling. It's falling, bro. It's falling. And just like it was surreal to y'all, other people, how these people was playing with us, and you couldn't believe it. You ain't gonna be able to believe how this whole country fall apart. You ain't gonna believe that. It's gonna be surreal. All this stuff is surreal to you now. You don't believe it, do you? It's the karma. It's the proper karma. They did surreal stuff that people found surreal, this crazy stuff they was doing. Okay, in return, your harvest is gonna be all this surreal, crazy stuff happening to you in your community. That's what's happening. That's why it ain't gonna get no better, bro. It ain't gonna get no better. I put that on my credibility as a prophet. I can see the signs and I can tell the way people think. I consider more than one thing. I look at the mentality of the people. I look at your karma. The mentality of the people and your karma ain't one and the same, right? I look at the mentality of the people that's out there. That's not gonna change. That's one point that ain't gonna change. Your karma is not gonna allow the situation to change. And God's judgment, which is the ultimate foundation, is not going to allow this situation to get better for America. Those are the 3 points, rewinded, that you need to focus on. Because listen, buddy, you living in a dream world. If you think this is going to get better, it's no history, in no world, in no all you're doing. I'm gonna tell you what you're doing. If you're kind of smart, you looking at times in history where things were bad and they got good again. This is not one of those times where things get bad, things getting bad, and it's gonna get good again. That's not what this is. And see, you don't know the difference because you don't know the whole story of what's going on. See, if you understand the whole story, what all these people doing, you already know it ain't gonna get better because of the foundational, ultimate foundation, which is God's judgment. You know it ain't gonna get no better. And their karma. It ain't gonna get no better. And the way the people think. So all 3 components, all those 3 components, it's no way in the world. These people's mind is gonna change. It's not. It's not going to change. So I don't offer false hope as a Christian. I don't offer people this optimistic fake hope. I tell people, like a real preacher, there's hope in Christ Jesus. There's not hope in the world. If you got any preacher or people, Christians, giving you this false hope in the world, that ain't what a real Christian even do. We ain't never done that. A real preacher or Christian gives you hope in Christ Jesus. I give you hope in Christ. That if you receive him, you're going to be saved. And now when you look at the condition of the world, I mean, people ready to die anyway. Now you know, if you do die, you're going to the best place. You're going to be with Jesus. So many kids done died, people just don't care no more. That's what's gonna get you. Let me explain that. The world has gotten so bad that now people feel so many kids done died. Why should we be here? It gets to a point where so much stuff happens that it can't never be good again. You can't never chill again. Too many people done died. Too many black people done died. I ain't manipulating it. It's what it is. It don't fit my narrative. It's what other people thinking too. The world gets so bad and so many people die. It's just like, why are we even here? How can we ever be happy again? That's how you know it's the end, because now so much stuff is happening. How can we be happy again? How can you be happy again with all this stuff that's happening? Not just what I'm going through. I ain't even talk about that. You ain't got to feel sorry for me. I'm getting my revenge through Christ Jesus. The vengeance of the Lord through Christ Jesus. Hallelujah. You ain't got to feel sorry for me. Feel sorry for these people that's out here that ain't never lived life. These young people. Feel sorry for this whole country falling because of arrogant people that want to play with God's people. Feel sorry for the country, that people that ain't have nothing to do with this. That's who you feel sorry for. Because I personally believe that the end of the world wasn't coming yet. These people sped up the end of the world. I'm not saying this is doctrine. I'm not saying I can prove this with scripture, but I'm just looking at it from a spiritual reciprocity aspect. You reap what you sow, right? Okay. So with all the sowing of gang stalking all across the country, this sped up. It gave speed to the end of the world. All this stuff, I think we would have had about 10 more, 15 years or something like that. About 15, 20, I mean, that's where it looked like 2017. Everybody remember how 2016, 17, 15, 14, like it was mild and laid back in America. We would have had like 10 to 15 more years of that mild, laid back feel in the world. It's gone. You don't see that? It's wartime. It's crunch time. You can feel it. It's everywhere. So it's in the whole structure of the atmosphere, because so many other things have happened besides gang stalking. Like, for example, Trump doing everything he's doing all around the world. This has caused hate to come to as an energy. It's one thing to hate in your heart, right? Or in your mind, better to say. Hate as a vibration is targeting America for all that they done. That's what you feel in the air, the hate coming to this country. They hate this country. And so that's real energy, right? The same energy, back to reciprocity, back to reap what you sow. The same hate that they gave me, hallelujah, they're getting it from all these different countries now. They're getting it from all these different countries. The hate that people try to get put in my way, like some corny old high school game, when you try to act like you lined up people that hate me, just corny. All you did was cause all your karma to be that all these other countries hate your whole country. That's where the energy is coming from. People hate ICE. They hate the government. The Democrats hate the Republicans. I mean, people hate ICE, back to ICE. You know, it's going on, man. It's hate. It's hate everywhere. And it's hate coming from the East, too. All them different countries in Europe, and because of Greenland, all that stuff they're doing, we're trying to do with Greenland. All that stuff, too, man. Add all that into there. Greenland hating America. It's a whole bunch of foreign vibration that's coming from different countries, real energy that hates this country, that's putting hate in this country as energy. So look at hate as the sun, as you can feel the sun and the heat from the sun. The heat of hate is coming from all these different countries into this, and you can feel it. It's a difference. That feeling is the hate from all around the world. It's here. And guess what? That's the fourth installment of how we know this ain't gonna change. All the hate that's coming from all around the world, we know this ain't gonna change. No, it's too much hate from all around the world. This is over. That's why I knew eventually I could go back to the South right now if I wanted to. I won. Because now the beginning has begun. The collapse has begun. I'm putting in overtime now. My job is done. I'm a man, listen, I'm a man on a mission. I play for keeps. I fully go get the definition of play for keeps, and I fully understand what play for keeps mean. And I'm playing for keeps. Now, listen, I got my job done. I can go back to the South now if I wanted to. Because ain't no way in the world, if you smart and you look at all this stuff, it's over. It's absolutely over. I guarantee you this, it's going to go in the same direction. It's going to keep going in the same direction, a downward spiral in the same direction. That's all that's going to happen. It's at a real nice spot right now. All I got to do is keep my head down and and be about my Father's business and keep working and keep doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Ignore anybody that think they the streets, because you ain't, which means I don't really care who you are. I really don't. You know what I mean? Once I realized it wasn't the streets and it's a secret society, these Freemasons and all, man, please. Ain't nobody scared of that. I wouldn't have been scared if it was the streets either, especially now. With the rank that I got and the power of God more realized. Because I go from faith to faith to glory to glory. You see what God is doing. I got more faith in God than ever before that anybody that try me is going to suffer, including in the streets. And entertainers, rappers, anybody you're scared of. That's not going to stop me at all. That what stops you or what puts fear in you, I'm going from faith to glory, seeing what God is doing. That's why all I gotta do is stay away from people, man. That's in their own world, scared of these people, think I should be scared of them, and I'm not. You know, I serve God's kingdom. You see, you didn't know what that was. You thought that was just some religious person. I'm not a religious person. I never came off as a religious person, and that's what makes people screw people's head. Like, what we thought as a Christian, he done changed the whole perspective of what we thought a Christian was. All it was is I just took off the American culture of a Christian, all that Americanized part of the Christian, that all these traditions that you got of a Christian here in America. You go to any other country in Africa, they don't play no games either. In their spirituality, they gonna get revenge. They gonna fight you spiritually. If you fighting them like you fighting me in Africa, they gonna get in the trenches just like me. They gonna fast just like me. They gonna give offerings to churches just like I do, and they gonna overcome you. They gonna destroy you. See, I learned that when I listen to the African Christian, hallelujah, the African Christian will fight in spiritual war. You can't play with an African Christian. In Africa and in the islands, in Jamaica, real Christians, listen, buddy, African Christians are not, they will kill you. They will kill you, buddy. They go by the scriptures that if a witch is persistent in warfare, if they're persistent, they must be put to death. That's what an African Christian gonna say. So while you think I'm influenced, and this is no disrespect, by white Christians, that's what you think a Christian is. The white Christians. You ain't listen to no African Christians, have you? No, you haven't. You haven't. You ain't listened to no African Christians, have you? Oh, well, you should know it's a different ball game. Well, I guess you thought we was all the same. Well, foundationally, we are, but there are certain things that makes an African realize we got to go to war. Like in Nigeria, where Muslims are fighting Nigerian Christians. See that part? That's out. What a Nigerian Christian gonna do? Act like we supposed to love these people? You dealing with real war. That's what the American Christians need to look at right there. No, I don't want you to think about praying. What I want you to think about is what they supposed to do. What do they supposed to do? They dealing with real war. The African Christians are dealing with real war. What they supposed to do? Love the people, love on the people, pray for the people. They supposed to pray for the people that got guns and everything like that. They supposed to go into spiritual warfare. That's right, and kill them all. You know, that's what you're supposed to do. The Nigerian Christians need to be fasting and going into spiritual warfare and giving offerings all around the world outside of Nigeria. Key, outside of Nigeria. You have to get outside of your culture and outside of your people, where people are biased. Even Christians are biased and dull in mind and dull in hearing. You need to go outside of your country to where a Christian can look on the outside, because outsiders always can see everything for what it is, right? That's the perk of being an outsider. I can see New York as what it is. We're going to take advantage of a lot of things that people just here that won't take advantage of. They can have all kind of programs here in New York and people won't take advantage of it because you're a local. You're so used to all this system and all these different things. You got somebody from the outside would take advantage of everything. That's all it is. So when you find Christians that's on the outside and you tell them what you're going through in Nigeria, they going to pray the right thing. They going to understand this for what it is. And you hold your position as an African Christian and you pray for these people to be put to death. Ain't no mercy. Ain't no mercy. No, you don't play with nothing like that. See, these American Christians will sit up here and act like what you supposed to do? What would you do in that situation? These people getting killed. They kidnapping kids and everything. What would you do in that situation? This is what I'm trying to show you. The difference between people that live in the real world and people that don't. That's just got this religious mentality, and you got real Christians getting killed and kidnapped. Right now, in the world right now. That's what it's still probably going on. To a certain degree. The hostility is still there. They ain't caught all the people doing it. Okay, so they still alive. They ain't catch them all, did they? Okay, they still alive then. And that's a perfect example for American Christians on real wars that we have to fight. While you talking about we don't fight against flesh and blood, you misinterpreting that scripture. Okay, so what the Christians in Nigeria doing? What they doing? They fighting against human beings, aren't they? Yes, they are. Yes, they are, buddy. And it ain't no way around it. See, that's what you're not used to. A way around it. No way around it. And that's what we going through as high-ranking Christians. We going through, we got to ride or die. That's all. We slide or die. You got to slide or die. Up to date in 2026, you got to slide or die. That's what it is. You know, and that's what we doing. It's not a game. We playing for keeps. We serious. You know what I'm saying? We ain't playing no games. This is the difference between those who are religious and those who live in the real world. You go to Nigeria, they got Christians. What them Christians supposed to do? Oh, just love on the people. Try to evangelize people that's trying to kill them. So then what do? You go to the scriptures where God's people fought real wars against real human beings. That's what you do. And you pull your faith around to the opposite direction where you pray, where your mind sees them as the enemy, and your spirituality destroys these people. That's what has to be done. You know what I mean? And that's all I'm doing. I'm just ahead of everybody else. But you soon will suffer and understand as a Christian, you going through what basically these Nigerian Christians are going through with these enemies. Over here is just witchcraft and Freemasons. It's the same type of demonic spirits. Okay? And I'm just ahead of everybody, and I'm getting in the trenches and doing what I'm supposed to do as a prophet. A prophet ain't gonna be religious. You ain't gonna ever find me religious. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And that's all. It ain't about being nice. That's what I'm saying. It's a whole culture of nice people. The only thing I learned from a Freemason in my life is this one Freemason I met. And you know what he taught me? See, you didn't know that. You didn't know I was around a Freemason, did you? The prophet was around a Freemason. Oh, they didn't tell you that? That Freemason ain't had no problem with me. I lived with him, and drank with him, and got food. He did everything for me. I lived with a Freemason. He showed me a certificate, everything. Y'all know about that, I don't. Well, he showed me his certifications, little certificate, whatever, right? I guess they give out certificates. Okay, so he showed me all of that. And I didn't show one interest in it. What I was not inquisitive, not one question about that at all. Okay? The only thing I learned from this person is about being nice. You know what he said? He said one of the definitions of nice is feeble-minded. Feeble-minded. If you're nice, one definition of nice is feeble-minded. Many of you are nice, but you're nice to a fault. You're so nice, you're feeble-minded. You're feeble in your mind. Drawn up. But, pushover. You're a pushover in your mind. And that's the only thing I learned from a Freemason. So see, if I was anti-Freemason and I wanted to kill him, that man was older than me and everything. I could have did anything to him if I was bugged out. If I had this vendetta like you trying to make it. The only reason you getting the energy you getting is not that I haven't been around Freemason. Now I'm ignorant of what it is. The reason why you getting the energy that you're getting is because you're getting what you put out to me. And see, because it's so much confusion about who started it, which was you think that I'm targeting you. See how it's tricky, right? You think I got these vendettas against Freemasons. I done lived and slept with in the same house with a Freemason. Okay, so the thrill is gone. I already met that Freemason. So if you think I'm gonna be stopped in my tracks and scared, there's a Freemason. Oh, what am I gonna do? I done lived with a Freemason, man. You should have knew the prophet wasn't gonna be. Come on, man. I move around too much not to meet people like you, no matter what you are. You know what I'm saying? I done met witchcraft people too. Right here in New York. I knew the dude was in witchcraft. I could see it on the aura of his head. Literally. I had this thought that this person is in witchcraft. The thought came to me. Then the person, we chilled later, and at that time I was smoking weed. We smoked a blunt together, and he told me, I smoked a blunt with him, and he told me, yeah, he was into witchcraft and all of that. So it was not, nothing happened to him. I ain't doing nothing to him. You know what I'm saying? So for me, you might be a little more surprised about who I've met. I met a Freemason, I met witchcraft people, all of that, man. You know what I mean? But you're getting the energy that you put out. And see, that's the elementaries, and that's what you need to come back to, no pun intended. You getting the energy that you put out, buddy. You put out like you against me and you oppose me, then you gonna get the same energy. You got so deep and sophisticated and all this intellectuality, if you will. all this intellectuality, that you forgot that you gonna get what you put out. If you oppose me and you act like you're my enemy, and I got street background and all of that, you know what I'm saying? I was a teenager in the 1990s. Just in case you might thought I was a teenager in the 2000s. No, I was a teenager in the 1990s when crack was rampant and thugging was real, right? Okay, so adjust yourself. I was a teenager in the 1990s. Not that you could easily think, if you really didn't know what age I was a teenager recently. Like, I was a teenager recently, man. Yeah, that part. I was a teenager in the 90s. The last real decade of America. After the 90s, everything changed. It ain't no real America no more. It stopped after the 1990s. That was the last real decade for black people. The 90s, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. We only care about 4 decades in America. Do you realize that? Black people only care about 4 decades of America. The 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, and the 1990s. That's the only 4 decades we always reference to. If you talk to any good black people, they gon', for the most part, they gonna reference to only 4 decades. Only 4. We only care about 40 years of America. That's all we care about. And we don't care about it now. We don't care about none of this. We only care, our most fondest memories is 4 decades of America. Only 4. The 1960s, the 1970s, the 1980s, and the 1990s. That's it. That's all we care about. If you talk to good black people, all they're gonna reference to all the music in the 90s, the 60s, and the 70s, and the 80s. That's all they're gonna talk about. That's all they're gonna reference to. All that we done in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Black people ain't gonna talk about the 30s. I ain't never heard of black people reference to the 30s. We might talk about some things like Black Wall Street, or those little things like that. You know what I mean? Some little things that we was doing something back then, little stuff, but not really like nationwide. No, we gonna talk about little things, nooks and crannies about history, like the Wall Street, and just different things we done, like inventing peanut butter, the stoplight. I know about that. We invented the stoplight. We invented peanut butter. Well, that's what they said. I went and did some other research on that. Don't quote me on that, because I forgot I did some other research on them saying black people created the peanut butter, but they did say black people created the stoplight. Okay, and it's other things we invented, but the point is this: the main decades flow, the whole flow of a decade was starting with the 60s that we loved. We loved starting from the 60s. The whole flow through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. Them the only 4 decades we care about. And some people don't even realize that. You might be scrambled brain, but I've had a lot of time to study and think, as you can see. And that's what I'm supposed to be as a teacher. I'm supposed to be able to be a wealth of knowledge and information where you don't got to do a lot of stuff. I didn't think about that. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's my worth. My worth is I'm a wealth of knowledge and information and insight. And I just spew it out, and it's right there for you on the platter. Right there for you on the platter. The only 4 decades we care about is the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Now be honest, you ain't think about it, but that's it. That's all. It's 4 decades. That's all we care about. We don't care about nothing else. You ain't gonna hear black people talking about the 1940s. The 1940s. I ain't never heard no black person talking about the 1920s. The roaring 20s. I seen those white women dancing around in the roaring 20s and all this roaring 20s stuff, but did you see black people in there somewhere? I didn't see black people in the roaring 20s.
Did you? I ain't see no black history in there. I don't see black people referencing to it when I watch any documentaries. I don't hear us talking about the Roaring 20s. When we know those people was racist and still lynching us at that time. They were still lynching us back in the 1920s and the 1930s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. After the 70s, that's kind of when we went a different way. Because after that happened to Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, that's what changed white America. Some people just said, you know what, that's enough for us. You know, I'm not against black people like that. Some white people turned over a new leaf and they decided to give us opportunities and vocations and jobs. It just changed their whole perspective. And that's when you got what I call the first collaboration between black and white people was after Malcolm X and MLK was assassinated, because white America started to give us opportunities. They turned their back on racism and lynching and killing black people. And they took us seriously because of us taking those stripes, right? Because of us taking those L's. They took us more seriously and they turned their back on racism. That's what the chain reaction was to that was that they gave us opportunities and vocations. They gave us opportunities in being doctors and scientists and everything where we had it way harder and we couldn't get into those fields. So then became the first true collaboration between the black and the white man, where we was on the same playing field, even playing ground, where he now seen us as his peers. It wasn't until after Malcolm X and MLK was killed that white America seen us as their peers and counterparts. Before that, we were their servants. We were their denture servants and their servants. We were not considered their counterparts. That's why we don't talk about the 50s and the 70s and the 80s. I mean the 50s, the 40s, and the 30s. We don't talk about none of that time because we was they servants. But after the 60s, after Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X was assassinated, we became their counterparts. They had enough. They seen good black people. They died. They had enough of it. We became, after that, their counterparts, their peers. And then what I coined began the first collaboration between white America and black America. That was the first real collaboration. Before that, we were servants. There was no collaboration. The first collaboration started officially after Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. were assassinated. After that, they took us seriously. They respected us. They turned their back. Much of America turned its back on racism in general. Okay? And from that point, we began the real, true collaboration between white America and African American and black America. White America and black America had their first, my point of view, their real first collaboration where I see you as my equal, where I see you as my counterpart. That didn't happen until after Malcolm X and MLK was assassinated. After that, they took us seriously. They started to see us as their counterparts. So that's where the first collaboration started, right? Now, that generation of that first collaboration was the baby boomers generation. The baby boomers generation was that first collaboration with white America. And it wasn't totally successful. That's where you get, in my opinion, the first real Uncle Toms and the sellouts. Because now they were collaborating with white America and they turned their back on the black community. All of them didn't come back and help us. They seen how good and comfortable it was, and of course it's going to be comfortable, how white America was together and how they interacted with each other. That's the first thing you notice about white people when you black. Look how cool it is in here. Everybody's just cool, laid back, no arguments, no drama. And some people can't handle that without turning their back. So what happened is, in my point of view, the original OG Uncle Tom, he started with the first collaboration between white America and black America. Because he didn't know how to handle that collaboration as a disciplined black man, still connected to his community. He didn't do that. He left. So he educated himself. He got the opportunities because we started getting taken seriously. So he got all these opportunities. Once he got all these opportunities, he turned his back. Did you hear what I said? Many black people turned their back once they collab with that first collaboration between them and white people. Think about it. This was new to them. They hadn't, it wasn't like now where you just working among white people. You ain't even think about that. You don't even care about it. Back then, it was such a big deal that it went to their head like, I'm not like other black people. I'm over here with these white people. You see what I'm saying? And they didn't handle it very well. Think about it. If you ain't got no experience and no reference point to being right there with these white people, you gonna think you just as good as them where I don't even deal with my own family, literally, my own biological family. They ain't professional enough. They ain't good enough. And everybody got somebody like that in their family that's kind of standoffish towards the family. And they got good jobs, they got money, and they don't really deal with your family. You got one of them in your family. As a black person, you got somebody that's well-to-do in your family that don't really deal with the ghetto people in the family. Come on, that's 7 out. That's how you know who black. Yeah, you got them people in your family. And I ain't gonna say they necessarily an Uncle Tom or Uncle Tina or Aunt Tina. Aunt Tina is Uncle Tom. That's the female version, Aunt Tina. I ain't saying it's Aunt Tina or Uncle Tom, right? Yeah, well, the women could be Uncle Toms too, right? That's Aunt Tina. Aunt Tina is the one that come from out of town. Yeah, right. Trying to check everybody and everybody's business. That's Aunt Tina. Aunt Tina thinks she better. She ain't ghetto like everybody else. Listen, she ain't gonna never sit down and have a funky conversation like us, huh? Well, she just relaxed, so everybody with their P's and Q's when they around Uncle Tina. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Uncle Tina come around, it's like an interrogation. You being interrogated. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. This at the family reunion, you see Uncle Tina. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing, you still in school? Yeah, well, I graduated. She don't even call your family or nothing. She don't know nothing about you. Yeah, I graduated about 3 years ago. Oh, okay. See that type, right? So what you doing for work? She hitting them points, right? Them checkpoints, so she can go back and talk about all that. Oh yeah, he left school 3 years ago. That's Uncle Tina. Yeah, he say he working up there at the Payless shoe store. Now you know that don't pay no enough to get out your mama house. Now you gonna have to get you a better job to get out your mama house. See, that's Aunt Tina. Aunt Tina, somewhere along the line, she thought she was better than us, didn't she? Aunt Tina got some kind of money. Aunt Tina went to the big city. She thought she was better than us. Aunt Tina, you gotta watch Aunt Tina too. You talking about Uncle Tom? Well, let's introduce in 2026 Aunt Tina. Oh, we should have been talked about Aunt Tina because Aunt Tina is listen, with all these broken families with no men in it. Come on, Aunt Tina is the Uncle Tom in most of these black families. Well, you don't really got no black men in our families. Not no stand-up black man. And not no black man like Uncle Tom. He's rare and few in our neighborhood, in our community. He's rare and few in our family, ain't he? It's going to be the women that's going to play that Uncle Tom position. Ooh. It's going to be the black women. Come on. You know what I'm talking about? It's going to be some of them black women. The Uncle Tina. Aunt Tina. Aunt Tina is the aunt that's standoffish and she don't really deal with the ghetto people. Which means you ain't gonna never see her at a ghetto party. She ain't gonna never come over. You can invite her. She ain't gonna never come over to the hood. Where we go, all of us go to the hood and go to a party, and sometimes we don't want to, but we just go because it's family. She ain't gonna be there. Oh, guess how she figured it out? How can I stay away from the family much as possible? I know what I'll do. I'll go live out of town. So I don't gotta be at all that little stuff. And I can just come when it matters. Or when I want to. Oh, you forgot about Aunt Tina. Aunt Tina that acts standoffish. And she act like she better than everybody. And she in everybody's business in the black family. You got an Uncle Tina in your family? Come on, that's how you know I'm black. Aunt Tina is the Uncle Tom in the family. Cause she ain't down with us. She don't really care about us. All she doing is trying to get all the information on us that she can. And guess what? She gonna gossip with all the people in the family, all the ghetto, all the older grandmas, and she talking to all the older people in the family. Even though she kind of young, she done got in there with the older people because of her level of sophistication. You know, she done got the respect of all these old people, so she can get in their conversations because she live out of town. You know what I'm saying? And being that she live out of town, that's the other reason she gonna be talking to everybody. Because everybody gonna be updating her on all that's going on in the family. Uncle Tina gonna take on mama's mortgage when mama can't pay it no more. But then she gonna take over the house. Then she gonna take over the mortgages. Then she gonna have a big milestone control in the family. Now everybody look to her to do stuff, but she ain't in touch with nobody. See, that's Aunt Tina. Everybody got an Aunt Tina in their family. That got money. Somehow she keep money. But she ain't got no real concern. She can't get down and talk to the ghetto family and chill and have a beer and really talk with the family. No, she can't. She drink. She do all her vices. Aunt Tina got plenty of vices. In fact, Aunt Tina probably got more vices than you. She probably do a little coke, pills, thing you don't even do. But she ain't gonna do it around y'all. She gonna go back to her. That's why it's good she can go to her own city, because she ain't gotta worry about none of the family. Only time she deal with the family is on her own basis. On the offense, never on the defense. Mind you, she taking care of everything, so why she gonna be on the defense? See, this type of personality is very strategic. She moves away from the family, but she still controls the family. That's Aunt Tina, man. Aunt Tina is the equivalent of an Uncle Tom. And she in every black family. You got Aunt Tina's right now talking about this snow and what everybody should have did. Hey, she on the phone right now. I told him to go get some of them blankets. They had them right up that Walmart. They too lazy. I told that girl. No, let's get into a real black conversation. I told Quita to go down there and get them blankets for you for Tanya. Tanya needed them blankets. I told her to go get them blankets. She done waited till that girl so lazy. Quita in her 30s, right? She the one that Aunt Tina be running around and be riding. She be riding little Quita. Like she gotta raise Quita. I told Quita to go get them blankets. Now they done got snowed in and she done waited. And now y'all need them blankets. See, she's more responsible than the average black person. This is how she get everybody. Because she's more responsible than us. You know what I'm saying? She'll do stuff that we wouldn't usually do. Like, we ain't going out no snow trying to get no blankets. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? We working with what we got. I ain't going out there. Then you gotta catch the bus. I'm telling you, Quita might got it this hard. She's supposed to go catch the bus. She's supposed to go catch the bus to go get blankets. Well, that's the least she can do. She living rent free. That's what Aunt Tina gonna say. She living rent free in that house. Why she can't go and get some blankets and run a little bit errands around there? And she's right. She's right though, right? She's right. But she lacks coolness like we got as black people. Well, we gonna pull together. Listen, Tanya already mad. She talking about it. She always gotta be talking about something. She the same age as Aunt Tina. Tanya, that's her sister. But see, Aunt Tanya is the cool auntie. The one that really don't. She ain't really like Aunt Tina. But somehow she's so sweet. Her and Aunt Tina get along with each other. You see what I'm saying? But so we find out what's really going on from Aunt Tanya with Aunt Tina. We find out all that stuff. Yeah, she tell us everything going on with her. But the truth is, Aunt Tanya done told you not to go out there. I told her she might break down. I told her she ain't have to go. Well, why you tell her that and then complain about no blankets in the house? See, I'm gonna stop talking to you. Cause it was already, she had been sleeping in. And you see, now Aunt Tanya gonna make excuses for Quita. That's the good family members. They gonna make excuses for you. Yeah, she was sleeping in. She went out the other night. She went out the night before last, and she got up kind of late. She didn't want to go. That sounds like a black family, right? She didn't want to go. She was out late. Well, that girl, she always partying. What she doing? What she was out partying for? She should have got the blankets last night. She gonna say she should have got the blankets last night, shouldn't she? And then and Aunt Tanya got to listen to this woman all her life. Talking bad about the family, everything. That's why our families be looking like it do, man. Everybody be looking funny. We got these people in the family always talking about everybody. That's Aunt Tina, which is the equivalent of Uncle Tom. See, we ain't have a lot of men in the black family. So then what you gonna have? You're gonna have these well-to-do black women that play the same position as an Uncle Tom, you know what I'm saying? And it gets worse from each family. Some of it is real bad. Some people, we ain't got it that bad, but some people got it real bad, buddy. Well, they aunties was doctors and everything. They ain't got no love for the hood, ghetto. They ain't gonna come down there and see none of them ghetto kids. And that's how they gonna put it, too. I ain't coming down there seeing none of them ghetto people. We can't get nothing together. They can't get nothing. I gotta pay for everything. And if we do something, cause you know how ghetto people gonna do. If we got a cookout, that's what you gonna eat for the day. That's why ghetto people be getting that food quick, don't they? Before they even talk to anybody. Cause your family done made up for the day. This is what we eating today. We going over here eating. Y'all go over there and listen. She gonna tell the kid, don't y'all go over there and be playing with them kids and don't get nothing to eat. Cause that's what kids gonna do. Go see their cousins and everything. They gonna sit around and talk, look at their cousin. She gonna tell y'all, don't eat. When y'all go over there, y'all make sure y'all eat. And the ghetto people gonna take 2 plates. They gonna take another plate home. And then guess what? Everybody else gonna be talking about it. Yeah, they took like 2 or 3 plates. They took all this food. I seen 2, 3 plates. They gonna be talking about that. I seen 2 plates. They all was taking place. Cause them people depend on that food. They depended on it for the day. That's food for the day. We gonna go over there. They gonna be nice. Okay, hey, how y'all doing? Hey. But they trying to get to that food. Like trying to get to the bag, they trying to get to that food. They trying to get to that food, buddy. So you know, it's just. And then they get labeled as ghetto, you know what I'm saying? And we all got that in the family, where if you're in a real black family, you might not even be the most ghetto family. Maybe you are. But other people in the family is considered super ghetto. They base it on the kids. They base it on how people, everything they do. Every time we get together, they're going to label them the most ghetto. They're going to say, that's ghetto. They ghetto, you know what I'm saying? And that's how they get labeled, and who's going to keep that going? It's going to be most likely the Uncle Toms and the Uncle Tinas of the family. They're going to be the ones that ride the ghetto people. Because remind you, like I said, they are responsible. And most of us didn't get raised right, so all they got to do is crack a whip with responsibility. And they're going to look like they're doing something. They're going to look like they're doing way more than they're really doing. Because most of us didn't get learn responsibility, work ethics, and everything. So just imagine somebody that came out of a black community, and they went and got money, and they got college educated, and then they could just turn around and look at all the irresponsibility in their black family and just crack whips on everybody. Remind you, they got money, so people gonna come to them for that. And they got a sense of understanding and work ethic and responsibility, and we don't. Half of us, and so all they gonna just crack a whip over the whole family. Everybody had that, and guess what? When they died, we really didn't cry. When Aunt Tina died, you ain't cry, did you? The one that caused all the problems in the family, the one talking and yapping and gossiping about everybody. When she died, you ain't really cry about it, did you? Not really. Not really. Some people glad they died. Some people in the family was glad they died. See, that's Aunt Tina and Uncle Tom. You know what I'm saying? But in our case, in the real reality, really, see, this is how the prophet break it down. I break it down to real life. Because we didn't really have a lot of black strong men like Uncle Tom in our family. Think about it. Not really. Not really. Not they had it going on like Uncle Tom do. Uncle Tom got money. That's what made him separate. So he became a part of the first collaboration between black and white people. Right? He became the collaboration he was in the first collaboration when we didn't know what to do with it. And we fumbled the ball. We fumbled the ball because Uncle Tom fumbled the ball. Because with the first collaboration, he didn't make himself as a bridge for black people to come over into white America and white America to come over to black America. He didn't become that bridge. He left and burned the bridge. He burned the bridge. He burned the bridge between him and black people, and he stayed over there with white people. That's what happened. And if that first collaboration, what I call the first collaboration, where white people seen us as their peers, if that was successful, we would have got an empire out of it. What the white Americans were supposed to teach us was to build an empire, which is where we're able to take care of our own community, our own people, without the help of a white man. He taught us how to do everything else. To go, and he literally did. He taught us about show business, even though he jerked us in show business a lot. But he taught us about everything. But he didn't teach us about building an empire, and he knew about it. That's what did not happen in the first collaboration. That's the fault of the white American side, right? And we, as black people, where we dropped the ball was we didn't bring our people into we didn't give them the information, wisdom, and knowledge that we learned from these white people and spread that to our community as quick as we should have. We could have did it way quicker, and we could have got a lot more money. So that first collaboration was not successful. It wasn't understood what to do. What we were supposed to do with that first collaboration was we were supposed to come and have a similar Siamese format that the white man had for his community. Not joining him in his cause, no. Making our own empire. See, he didn't teach us to do that. And there was supposed to be two empires in America. White America and black America empires. We don't have empires, we have a culture. This is what I teach people. We have a culture. The culture is a knockoff empire. Because it can't feed our community. A culture can't feed you. Okay, an empire is like Chinatown for the Chinese people. They can take a poor man that's Chinese in Chinatown. He can go in Chinatown right now. He can get food, rent, shelter, and money and job opportunities and everything without the help of white America or anybody else. That's the power of an empire. If your empire cannot pick up off a poor man up off the floor and give him opportunities, money, shelter, and food, it's not an empire. That's how you know we don't have one. We got money, but we don't have an empire where the money can flow back to the community and lift the community up. That's what an empire is supposed to do. An empire is supposed to be able to take a man that's off the streets, literally, and give him food, money, and job opportunities. Literally. with no help of America. You're supposed to have networked that much in America. No, keeping it in mind that you're building an empire, that over the years, now you can pick up a homeless man off the streets without the help of white America. You don't need his help. We as poor people have to still run to white people because we don't have an empire. We have to run to them for opportunities. We have to run to them for food, shelter, and everything else. You, being black people, one of the founding fathers of this country, we should have an empire. We don't. We traded an empire for a culture where it's certain key rich white black people that's in it, and they entertain us and we support them. That's just a culture. That's not an empire. An empire is the power to feed families from the streets. If they migrate like migrants, let's say black people migrate like migrants to America, we can feed all of them and pull them up and give them opportunities. That's what an empire is supposed to do. If an empire cannot function like that, that's not an empire. That's a dysfunctional empire. It's not profitable for your humanity. It's not profitable for your people. The culture ain't profitable for black people. How? It's profitable for those who in it, that's making money, that's already famous. You got to be able to look out for your own people. You got to be able to do that. If you can't do that, then you don't have anything. It doesn't serve a purpose. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, an empire is what we did not get the understanding of. The white man did not teach us about an empire in that first collaboration. That's what we should have understood from day one. From day one, he should have sat us down and said, son, you need an empire for your people. You've been our slaves for all this time. Nobody taught us that. You need to be able to, without our help as white America, you should be able to feed your own people, feed them, clothe them, give them opportunities, and start your own world. They made sure we went to our world. And the problem was, because we fought so hard for rights, subconsciously, that made us feel like when we got rights per se, we just want to go over to his world with the rights that we got, with the new rights, instead of building our own world. Like the Native Americans, like the Chinese. The Chinese got Chinatown in every great metropolis in America. It's not just New York. Chinatown represents where the Chinese are in every part of in every city. In every city, you got a Chinatown. That represents the Chinese Empire, where their people can come to any metropolis, and they can. That's why you don't see Chinese people on the streets. They're gonna go to the empire, and they're gonna get fed. They're gonna get opportunities. They might get a little room. And then we don't know nothing about this. We don't know nothing about this. It's not a shelter that we know about. They're gonna help their own people. We're so used to looking out for ourselves. We don't even care enough. Our problem is we don't even care enough for our own people. Chinese people care about their people. They have compassion. Oh, I don't want this Chinese man on the streets. That's your people. He gonna give him a room, food, and job opportunities if he willing to work. That's what they gonna do. And they'll probably take care of their mentally ill people too. They're cripples and, you know, people that can't do anything. They're gonna take care of all of that. That's your responsibility. That's the higher responsibility of a collective community, is to take care of your people. That's a responsibility that you should have a burden for. And see, that's how you measure people's blackness. Now you find young men that's my age, they ain't got that level of blackness, buddy. No, you don't. No, you don't. What you gonna do is grow dreads and get gold teeth and think you blacker than me. All paraphernalias of the culture. That's all you're gonna have is paraphernalia from the culture, right? I'm teaching empires, real ones, real empires, where you can feed. And how we know what it is when we can feed homeless people. Well, they don't have to go to no white shelter. They get fed by their own people. They get taken care of by their own people. See, we don't have enough compassion to do it. Check yourself. You don't want to help these black people out here. You want to get them off the streets. You feel like they should be working. See, America programmed you how they feel about them. That, oh, they should be working. Who taught you to feel that way? That they should go just find their own way. Let's put it like that. Who made you feel that way? White America made you feel that black people should find their own way. And that's how you look at them. Find your own way. I had to do it. That's what you gonna say. I had to do it. But see how you almost close to sounding like Aunt Tina. You sound like Aunt Tina a little bit. You sound like Aunt Tina. I had to find my way. You gotta do the same thing. I had to find my way. You gotta do the same thing. That's Aunt Tina. Okay? You gotta understand, man. Let me tell you something, man. If you don't know what life is about, just be honest. Just be honest and say, God, show me what life is about. That's the first step of honesty. Show me what this is all about, and show me what the world consists of, the hearts of men, how we think, what we value as people and humanity. Show me everything. And then you begin to see things outside of your world and how things really are. And from that prayer, you could be one of the most powerful people in the whole world. Because if you don't see this the right way, how far can you go? How far can you go? How far can we go as a collective community? We can't go very far without seeing things the right way. And the first step of seeing things the right way is reality. Reality. And seeing all this going on, like, for example, us as black people, we can't really even do anything together without trying to, we like to get over a lot. We use each other a lot. That's what Tupac's mother complained about. She said, she told Tupac, do not volunteer yourself to our people because they will use you. This woman was a Black Panther, as we know. She was a Black Panther. Tupac's mother was a Black Panther, right? Okay. Even this had nothing to do with her being obviously someone opposed to black people, but the true reality is reality, right? Whether I like it or not, in the condition that we in, you're going to have to tell the reality of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Or are you going to be a different type of sellout? Where you sell out to all this culture and everything like that? That's a type of sellout to me. You know, when you sell out to this culture and everything and in these worldviews, depending on who you're talking to. Now you're selling out to these superficial images of black people and you know, these surface level, no depth level of black people where we ain't got no depth to us as a whole people. But yet we act like we got so much vibration and earthy vibration and African energy and that oomph, right? But we don't have it. You don't have it because you're influenced by the culture. You see, we're in danger of being exterminated because anybody that see you killing each other, they could say these people are not even civilized. What I learned in the last days is that we became bad. This is the whole American community. We became as bad as the government. And that's what we did not expect. What we thought was we were going to be, especially looking back in time, in the 90s and all that time when we was kind of laid back, you know what I mean? We thought the government was going to take over us and they were going to be evil and we was going to be good and they was going to try to control us and all of this. And we were just going to be kind of pretty decent people in the struggle. But what wound up happening was we became our own worst enemy in the process. With time, we became our own adversary, and so now you got to consider that part with understanding reality in how we can really change things, right? not being just setting up a movement where I'm just stimulating your mind with good information. See, the real leader, a good leader can stimulate you like a good preacher. And I can give you all this good information. I can make you feel real good. And I can just make a career of that. And I can milk you and get money off of you and get power and prestige, and nothing changes. And that's what many people can do. They can tell you all about what the white man done to you. And they can make a whole career off of that. Just telling you what the white man doing. And I'm not saying it's a con game. It's just not a complete game. It's not a complete game. The complete game is basically a leader should be able to get rich 2 times in his life if he's black. He gets rich the first time to set black people free. The second time is to flex for itself. Because that's going to come back because of your karma. You're going to have it so good. You know what I'm saying? You get rich the first time. 2026, the flex is, I'm going to get rich twice. I'm going to get rich first and give it to black people and get them out the hood. See, if Malcolm X was rich and he had billions of dollars, you might not want to accept it. He would dump his whole account, because that was his whole mission. His whole mission was to get black people out of captivity. That was his whole mission. So a man like that, when he get money, that's all he gonna do. He would have got $1 billion. He would have just set up housing and everything all over the country. Especially back then, $1 billion would have been everything back then. So he would have said, this is why the most powerful people don't get money, because the devil tries to stop us from getting money, because our heart is in the right place. If we get money, we change everything. We do. This is why if you ever see somebody that really got it together to what to do out here, they don't get the money. They ain't the ones that get the money. They don't get the most money for whatever reason. And maybe it's because already the way they think, they get prevented. Well, they don't really get in vogue with the whole community because of how they think, as that's ever changing. And so they get a little bit of rejection. They don't get, they ain't really, they down, but you know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna get that buku money. They ain't gonna get that black culture buku money. Because, you ain't putting out them kind of messages and images and things like that. You ain't gonna get that buku. To get that buku, you just gotta throw out. And I'm not hating. I'm just saying you just gotta throw it. You just gotta throw out stuff and just know. Just think, okay, this is what everybody like. This is what everybody about. This is what everybody this I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna talk about that. And you know what I'm saying. And I'm gonna just do what black people do. And that's how some people justify it. I'm just doing what black people do. What else you want me to do? But you're supposed to turn around and be a messenger. And see, that's the higher elevation is, okay, besides doing what black people do, we get it. Okay, that's what it is. That's what most people justification gonna be. I ain't doing nothing that ain't in real life. That's what the person gonna tell you. So what I supposed to do? Talk about something that ain't real life. No, you supposed to have a plan. You supposed to have real solutions. You supposed to elevate and think long enough and read long enough and don't party. See, we party when we get rich. We party 365 days for the first 20 years. And then we chill. Then we start reading books after 20 years. So, that first 20 years is crunch time in the world like this, where people are in urgent need, right? We get rich the first time and we give it back to the black community. The billions of dollars for housing outside of the ghetto experience. The ghetto experience should have been destroyed after the crack epidemic, officially. After what crack did to the black community, that's when the ghetto should have been destroyed. It should have been destroyed right then. After the crack epidemic, they should have done away with the whole ghetto and made a whole new black experience, community experience. They never thought to do this. I'm talking about no ghetto. All black people coming into a black prominent community. The whole thing, no more ghettos. See, it's almost unbelievable that could be possible. And see, but why is everybody else living pretty decent? Chinese people live pretty decent. Hispanic and Latinos live pretty decent. They don't live in big mammoth ghettos. Not all of them, no. Not nationwide. Where's the big ghettos for all Hispanic and Latinos that we really know is really ghetto? I'm talking about real ghetto, real poverty. Not struggle, not working. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about lack of work. No poverty, no buildings open. Well, we see that in the Hispanic and Latino community, like us. We the only ones that got it. Okay, so the main goal is to eliminate that circumstance. To eliminate it. That was the whole purpose that was supposed to be done. Okay? That was supposed to be done. That's supposed to be done away with. The ghetto experience should have been done, I would count about after, 95? You could go for early 90s if you want. That's when a plan should have been made to pull, it should have been a whole exodus out of the black community. That's what it should have happened. That's what should have happened. The whole idea that we eliminate this, and it could have been worked on. We could have made way more progress if this was a joint effort to eliminate the black ghetto experience. Everybody else is out the ghetto. That's what I'm looking at, and how that happened. How that happened when they ain't got no money, half of them. Hispanic and Latinos come here, how they ain't in the ghetto experience? Because the truth is, America gave them more of a shot and gave them more money that they not telling us about. This is what I want you to think about. They ain't telling us about them giving us a short spot and a good chance, a short chance to build their own families in a decent neighborhood, right? With their own restaurants. This is where the money come in. The restaurants, the stores that the government gave them some type of money for. Ain't no way in the world you telling me they got that money on their own. The government gave them that loans and monies and these packages that we don't know nothing about. And the reason why, this is why they deserved it, because of their work ethic, but they couldn't tell us about it. That's why it's a separation between black and Hispanic and Latino, because they can't tell us about the money they got for their neighborhoods. Woo! They can't tell us about the money they got for their neighborhoods. That's the elephant in the room. I'm not stupid. You had to get some money from them governments. From them government people that we don't know nothing about as black people, because they ain't gonna want to give us that money. So they ain't gonna talk about it, because we gonna fight for it. They know that. As soon as we find out about it, we gonna fight for it. We gonna fight for some type of money that them people get that we don't know about. And the reason why they gave them the money, I really believe this, because of their work ethic. And that's where you can't blame them. They work hard, and America peeped that, and they decided to give them a square on their own. And that's how they started their own neighborhoods and communities outside of a ghetto experience. They never had to really live it. You can talk about the Bronx, you can talk about LA and Mexicans in the Bronx, and then in Puerto Ricans in LA. That's all you can talk about. I'm talking about the whole community. You don't see no ghettos for Hispanics in all these different states, right? No, you don't. No, you don't. Go to those different states, and what do you see? You see low middle class neighborhoods. And how did that just happen? Why didn't they have to go to these apartments and ghettos? All you're talking about is maybe 30% of Hispanic and Latinos that's in these apartments all around, and you talk about now. You talk about now, where things are bad, so it's almost confusing to even talk about now. But as in terms to where everybody's located and why they located where they're located, it's confusing to talk about why it is the way it is now, because everybody's going through stuff now, today. But you ask yourself why in every great metropolis you don't see no mammoth, big, huge ghetto Hispanic and Latino neighborhoods just for them in every city. Not key cities where they choose to migrate. I'm talking about every city. I'm talking about the cities, all these other cities. They there too. They're there too. They migrated there too. Where are they there? Where are they? You know where they are? They're in low middle class neighborhoods. What I call urban suburban neighborhoods. It's not hood, but it's not suburban all the way. It's urban, suburban, a term I coined. Most Hispanic and Latinos are in urban, suburban neighborhoods that I believe the government gave them a shot to have because of their work ethic. Think about it. If America sit back and see your work ethic as white America and black America, even black America probably had part in it. They gonna give you all kind of monies for your stores and everything for your community because they know you're gonna flourish because of your work ethic. And they did. They did exactly what America thought they was gonna do. But I'm trying to show you how they got it. It wasn't from hard work alone, their own money. America gave them all kind of opportunities that we don't know nothing about as black people. And that's why really there's a rift between us and them, and they don't and nobody want to address it. Because you got listen, first of all, you got an experience outside of the ghetto. That's the first thing you got. You got an experience outside of the ghetto that we didn't get. And low key, nobody's addressing it. Why all these Hispanic Latinos are not in ghettos like us? They're not. So how did that happen? Oh, just hard work? No. That's not how it happened, bro. That's not how it happened. In every city, that's how it happened. No, that's not how it happened. They knew that they could give Hispanic and Latinos a square with restaurants, clothing stores, all type of opportunities for their own people to work at. They could give them everything, and they knew they would flourish because they would work hard. That's why they gave it to them. And the reason why they don't really talk to us is because they know that the Americans gave them an opportunity that they didn't give us as black people. They didn't give you the same square because we wouldn't utilize it the same way that they did. We ain't gonna utilize it like Hispanic Latinos. We ain't gonna go out there and innocently work and sweat and work our square. We not like that no more. And for the main reason we not is because we like to get high and we like to party. It's the vices that we got. That's the main foundational reason. We not focused. We like to get high. We like to drink. We like to party all the time. We like to party. That's the main thing. It's not even the crime. Before the crime, I'm gonna talk about the partying. I'm gonna talk about the vices. I'm gonna talk about not being able to put the weed down and not being able to put the drugs down and the alcohol down. That's the main thing to keep people defocused. And they can have a place to live and everything. They're gonna drink, they're gonna smoke, they're gonna fall off. You know what I'm saying? In so many different ways. So that's our problem. It wasn't just the violence. It's the vices. It's the drugs, and not just crack. It's the alcohol and all of that. Even the weed. Some people don't have the weed even the same way. You know, some people smoke weed, got a bad attitude. You black, you know people that everybody complain about that got bad attitude for smoking weed. You listen, man. You from a real black family. They ain't telling you about people in your family that smoke weed and they got a bad attitude and they acting out and everything. Come on. They telling you about people in your own family and they smoke weed, they smoke blunts just like you do, and you got a whole different attitude about it. Cause your family raised you differently. Weed was a good time to me. Weed was a party to me. It wasn't. You know, I ain't gonna be a jerk when I smoke weed, you know. And but some people, like, you know, in our family, you know, let's tell the truth. You know, you might not be the most ghetto person in your family, right? But those who are kind of got more turbulence in their neighborhood and their family, and they smoke weed, they attitudes is horrible, everything. And you hear all kind of conversations where people are fighting their own mama and everything, smoking weed and on pills and drugs, and then fighting their mama and that. And you ain't never because you was raised a little differently, even though you was from the hood. It's just, that's how it is in one family. You got two different extremes, and then you got people that hit the sweet spot, and you know, but you got extremes. Aunt Tina got all the money, then you got the hood, everybody in the ghetto with smoking weed and arguing with their mom and everything. But you usually the chosen ones is gonna be kind of in the middle, because God gonna kind of maneuver for that chosen one or that prophet to make it. You know what I'm saying? And you go. That's why a lot of times God was always watching out for you, so that you didn't really get in the hood. Because if you would have really got deep in the hood, who would you be today? You wouldn't be the prophet that you are today. You wouldn't be the man of God or woman of God. Because you would have went out there hustling. And some of y'all still kind of got caught up. And God watched it. God watched you kind of still get caught up and everything like that, right? But you barely made it out of that mentality. While some people are submerged in it. They submerged in it, man. You know, and you in the middle. You know what money, you know, you seen a couple good things. You seen your family have good things. But then you saw your family party and do cocaine and everything. I seen that too. My mom used to do cocaine. You know what I'm saying? My stepdad used to smoke weed. I started smoking weed with my stepdad. But they had things. They had cars. They had gold. They had guns. Everything. You know, my stepdad had guns, weed, gold, music, everything, cars. So I learned to, that's the real, to me, that's the best ghetto experiences. I'm not condoning it, but, you know, if you're raised where you see the weed, the drugs, and you see the cars, the gold, the music, and everything. That's the ideal ghetto situation. Not just straight poverty. The ghetto situation is hustle with drugs and vices. That's the truth. Being able to cook out, being able to sit back and listen to Luther Vandross and smoke weed and play spades. You know what I'm saying? You know, the stronger of us as Africans, we ain't gonna be submerged totally in poverty. Well, we too strong for that. Okay, so the sweet spot in the ghetto experience is not extreme poverty. It's where black people can come up above to where they got vices. They do cocaine, weed, drug, alcohol, and they work. They got cars. They got gold. They got they got guns, and they got a place to live. They got a house, and that's the real ghetto black experience. That's the black experience. From the 80s and the 90s and everything like that, you know, families still had their vices, still smoked their weed, you know, but they had gold, they had jewelry, they had guns, they had cars. And you as a kid raised in that environment, you learn to, being in the sweet spot of the black experience, not too ghetto and definitely not like Aunt Tina, right? You know, you learned what to eat the meat and spit out the bones. With the whole black experience, you learn to eat the meat and spit out the bones. Okay, I take portions of thug life where I get me a gun, and I had a heart to kill somebody, but I ain't gonna be in jail every other year. You know, I ain't gonna be down in the worst neighborhoods, cause my mom taught me better than that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna be down in no dope hole, what we call a dope hole, in the trap. You know what y'all call a trap. I ain't gonna be down there. But I'm always gonna be working on getting me a gun. You know, and then if you ain't a Christian, I might smoke my little weed, you know what I'm saying? Drink my little beers and drink some liquor, turn up on the weekend, but I ain't gonna go out there and blow my whole check on crack with some crack whores in a motel. You know, like some of these dudes do. You know, they gonna go to a motel and blow their money. What is Sunday right now? Somebody blowing their money right now in the snow on these crack whores. In a motel somewhere, getting out the cold. So, you know, there's extremes in our neighborhood. There's extremes in the black experience in the family, you know. And the truth is, most of us hit that sweet spot where we seen our family be ghetto, smoke weed, drink beer, drink liquor, do coke, do drugs, you know. But the thing about my mom, I never seen her do cocaine. I ain't never see her loose like that. She did it in private, and she worked. She was a functioning user, as people would say. So my mom worked. Party on the weekend, everything like that. But I ain't never see her do no cocaine. I ain't never seen her extremely high where I questioned what she was doing. I ain't never see her like that at all. You know, and but we was in that nice sweet spot where we still went to the hood. You know, we still went to West Charlotte, West Boulevard all the time. You know, in Charlotte, everybody know about West Boulevard. I got family over there. We always went over there. You know, so that became kind of like if you one of them families that always go to the hood, because your mama got sisters in the hood, you basically kind of over there too. That becomes home too. Your mom, your aunt's in them house and all that you was going to over the years. playing spades over there, playing with your cousins, them smoking weed with your cousins over there on West Boulevard. You always gonna have that cool cousin that wanna flow and wanna rap. Hey, in the black community, you always gonna have that one cool cousin that y'all rap with. You know what I'm saying? Y'all smoke weed together and rap. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, coming up as teenagers and stuff. Yo, real, like he almost like your brother. That one cousin that's almost like your brother, man. You know, that's how it is. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is, man. You lucky if you have a couple cousins like that. You know, but you always will. You always will have a couple cousins like, you know, like your brothers. You know what I mean? Yeah. But even with that, you got different dimensions in that. You got some cousins that's kind of close, kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? Y'all kind of cool. Y'all kind of get together a little bit. But then you got that cousin that's like a brother. Y'all smoke weed together, everything like that. Then you got that cousin, y'all do crimes together. You know what I'm saying? I had a cousin like that. We did crimes together. I never did any crimes with my brother. I never did any crimes with my actual brother. Nope. I did crimes with my cousin. It's funny how it is, man, because I don't know, man. I think it's just more mutual respect between cousins. It just is. It's just more mutual respect, which means you can build a better bond. There's just love and fun and all the way around your cousin. When you're around your cousin, it's just love and fun. So it's just like in the black community, you wind up building a better bond with your cousin than your brother. Your brother gonna be the one going running to your mom and all that, you know, little corny stuff all the time, and you tolerate him, you love him, but you tolerate him. But your cousin, it's always a good time. It's always fun. Every time y'all get together, it's always mutual respect. So you wind up doing crimes with your cousin when you both get on the level. When you both grow up, you know? So I never did any crimes with my cousin, my brother, but my cousin, yeah. I did some crimes with my cousin, not my brother. We ain't do no crimes together. The only crime we kind of did, well, this kind of makes up for it. Like one time we was gonna go ride on somebody, and we put guns in the car and went to the other side of town. And our intention was to go and ride on somebody, and we just spin the block looking for this person. We spin the block looking for this person, and we had guns in the car, everything. The only intention we had was to go over there and take care of that. And any criminal gonna tell you, you never know what could have happened until it happens. You never know what could have happened. But we went over there with the intention of going and shooting this person because how I felt disrespected is he called my grandmother's house looking for my brother. He ain't had no problems with me. He ain't had no problems with me. He had a problem with my brother, right? And he was in that neighborhood where my grandmother stayed at. It was no competition for this on the street. I'm gonna say on the street where he stayed. There wasn't really no competition. So he thought he was like one of them dudes that you know, he wasn't challenged by nobody. You know, and he called my grandmother's house, and that's what got me in the car. That's what made me go over there with the intentions on riding on him. And that's facts. We both got in the car to put the guns in the car and everything. And but he called my grandmother's house, and I felt that was very, very disrespectful. To call my grandmother's house looking for my brother. And I didn't, you know what? The girl, how it happened was it was a white girl in our neighborhood. So my brother went over her house just to show him his new car and all of this stuff and everything. And her boyfriend was over there, and he was tripping because he didn't know what the relationship was. He new to that neighborhood. We lived over there in the 90s. You know, I was over there in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? So he really didn't know that. The dude didn't know that wasn't no threat to the relationship that he had with this girl. You know what I'm saying? And so she wound up giving him my brother and him fell out for whatever they fell out, right? So the dude got my grandmother's number out of this girl, this white girl. This is where I should have checked her, and I never did. And the reason why I never checked her because every time me and her talked, it was like always catching up. So like for years, like that, I didn't even think about that, you know. And then if we would have sat around talking long enough, and we would have got with each other long enough, I think she know that too. That's kind of why it was this healthy distance between me and her, because she knew that was wrong to give that dude my grandmother's number. You that scared of him? He was one of them dudes, abusive dudes, that she that scared of him that he got my grandmother's number out of her, because that was where we was at in that neighborhood with my grandmother, right? She was living in my grandmother's neighborhood. That's how she had the number. But we didn't live there, okay? But I just happened to be there one day when he called, right? So he called and my grandmother said, "Donnell, come get the phone," right? So I'm like, "Hello," like that, right? He was like, "Yeah, man, this dude, man, yeah, man, I'm gonna take care of this, man. I'm gonna get the gauge and all of this." I'm like, what? I'm like, hold up. I don't even know who this is. I'm like, hold up, what? Like, he started talking about some people. I'm like, I started name dropping the people I knew in this neighborhood that was close to this neighborhood we was living in, which was kind of the hood for this neighborhood. So I'm like, okay. I got off the phone with this dude. I said what I needed to say. You know what I'm saying? His beef wasn't with me, but I held my ground. And we decided that we was gonna ride on this dude, because he called my grandmother's house. That's the part that I felt like you got beef with me. You got beef where you call him. I feel like it's almost like he meant to talk to my grandmother, you know, but even though he didn't. But just because he talked to her, I felt some type of way about that. I felt some type of way about it. And then once, especially after how he was talking, you know what I'm saying? And then he talked to me in this way, but he talked to my grandmother first. You see what I'm saying? How he was on that energy and he talked to my grandmother. That's how I processed this whole situation. And so I got in the car for that, to ride on this dude, spin the block on him. You know what I mean? And that's probably the only crime situation that I got into seriously with my brother. You know, now me and my cousin, we did felonies together. We did 2 solid felonies together, you know, and we didn't get caught. We didn't get caught by the police. You know, and basically that's it. You know, yeah. But you know, in the black community, man, it just I'm a speed all the way up, cause see what I be doing for y'all is giving you an idea of what should have been done, and what it is, and how we, like just now, how we came up and everything. But now you need to be brought up to the circumstances that we in. Okay, you in the Trump administration. The likelihood of all of us doing something together without radical change is unlikely. It's unlikely. It has to be a radical change by force. You know what I mean? And you know, and most people are just, you know, they're so in cahoots with other races of people, they don't feel the need, in a tricky way, they don't feel the need to fight for just one race of people. You know, and I'm not saying every black dude, but you got some black dudes that might date a white girl, and you know, he might not, just from that, it ain't her fault. But he might just feel the need, well, he don't really, his mind done broadened to where he just see America. He don't really think about fighting for black people or nothing. He don't think about none of that. He don't think about that, you know, and it's not his girl's fault. It's his fault. You know, he don't know how to balance having a white girl and still being on black agenda. Think about what I just said. You could have a white girlfriend and still be on on black agenda. You know. But most people don't have that discipline to do that. What happens is you get a white girl and then you just go over there, you know, and you forget about black agenda. You know what I'm saying? You forget about black purpose. So they stop thinking in terms of it. Like, it's not about race anymore. It's not about race anymore per se, but it's still about the struggle. And that's facts, right? So besides race, the struggle still remains, right? Right. So if you got real people that's really about that life, you're going to have real solutions and everything. But the thing that in an emergency situation like this, man, the main thing would be to start creating housing where, and here's the thing, where our people don't even got to work. Because the truth is, man, some of us are so battered from, let's tell the truth, some of us are so battered from white America, man, we traumatized, we messed up mentally. We was like a science project, and people that got messed over and beat up so much, that's what kind of people we are. That's how we look, and that's how it really should be. All of us are not motivated to go to work and do all this stuff because we done been beat up by white America so much. We done been beat up by people so much. Your mind ain't right. Your mind ain't where it's supposed to be. And it's something that we don't want to talk about because we feel like we should be strong enough not to for that not to be the case. But it's not. It is what it is. A lot of black people have been broken down so much, man. They don't want to work. They don't want to work. They don't want to work. And when you add into all the stuff that happened, you have to have a sense of understanding. It'll be one thing if we ain't go through it, because see, Hispanic and Latinos, it's easy for them to say, oh, well, if black people would just work, everything would be better. If they just worked, everything would be good. We did that. We was mistreated on the jobs. We suffered racism you couldn't even imagine. We made a way for you to go and just work. But we went through hell on these jobs. We went through racism on the jobs that you won't go through. And we wasn't being paid nothing for so long. And losing our leaders and being killed and all kinds of stuff in between all of that. All around us. We didn't have the circumstances that you have to just go and work. Now we burnt out. Now that we finally made it to where we can just probably just go to work at an average job and race ain't gonna be an issue, we burnt out now as a community. And see, nobody don't want to say it like it really is. People are burnt out, bro. You know, but you can't in a society like America in general, you can't tell people you burnt out. You can't, because that's a sign of weakness. That's a sign of you being weak or broken or through, you know. And so that's really the case. So a good black leader would make housing for people and they ain't gotta work. See, ain't nobody built like, you know what I'm saying, like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, just getting them off the streets. You know what I mean? Letting people thaw out. If you want to, people need to thaw out after being on the streets for X amount of time. You know, you gotta thaw out and get your mind right, get some rest, your soul gotta rest. See, that's one thing about being homeless. Once you get off the streets, your soul needs to rest. And if you ain't never been on the streets, you don't know. You've been around the elements 24/7. That's why you sound like the streets. That's why I sound like the streets, because I've been around the elements 24/7. I've been on the streets 24/7. So I think in terms of survival, we become like wild men, literally. And that's what people that live on different circumstances, black people that live on different circumstances, don't understand. Homeless is the new ghetto. That's the new ghetto in 2026. That's where you get all the new slang. That's where you get the funk. You watch how people carry themselves. That's real. That got all the sauce, the drip. I'm talking about young people on the streets. I'm talking about the slang. I'm talking about all that. The intuition. You gonna get that more for homeless people. That real gritty poverty and ghetto. You gonna get that from homeless people. Ghetto people have become. They strive for like middle class. They strive to get to this level of middle class, or let's put it like this: they carry themselves like middle class, like, and that's good. Like, you're trying to get the bag and everything. So you hear a lot of ghetto people talk in terms of like entrepreneurship, things like that. And if you're not like that, like we used to be, then they leave you behind, which means they leave a lot of homeless people behind, and they become the new ghetto. And the ghetto people that live in the ghetto residents, they become more people that's chasing the bag, entrepreneurship and everything, which you could almost say it's like the mentality of the middle class. You know what I'm saying? Low middle class, and they don't want to be associated with nobody that's in a struggle. I've heard people say this. Not everybody now. I've heard women say they don't even want to talk to people that's poor. That, you know, the struggle might get off on them. You remember the memes that used to go around? The struggle might get off on me being around this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, but see, that's ghetto people. That's how they talk now, very condescending on poverty. You know, and you notice that? A lot of ghetto people talk very condescending on poverty. Like, we never questioned what people's motives was, if they was working or why they wasn't working or whatever. You know, back some time, it's just what it was. You know, it's just what it was. But now, you know, you'll have ghetto people just question why you ain't doing nothing, why you entrepreneurship, why you ain't trying to get bag, why you ain't trying to do this. That's almost like middle class. That's almost like Aunt Tina, you know what I'm saying? Why you ain't trying to get a job? Why you ain't trying to... So now you got ghetto people talking like that. So to me, the new ghetto is homeless people. You go talk to them, it's like it used to be, where, you know, you got that real street intuitive conversation. You know what I mean? That real ear to the streets conversation. I get that more off of that ghetto vibe that we used to get. I get that from homeless people. That's the men and the women. That's the new ghetto to me. Because when you go to the hood, everybody's trying to do something. And that's good. That's good. That's good, but it's a balance. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily forgetting where you come from. It's like not being condescending in your pursuit of money. You know, not being condescending on others that's not doing the same thing you doing. You know, not on the same level of life. Not trying to not being condescending on people they don't have no ambition. They might not have no ambition. It is what it is. That's your people. But you know, so if they choose, that's part of black people. You know, it's gonna be some people that just give up. How people put it, some people just give up. You know, and people give up in different ways. Some people give up with drugs. Some people give up with women. Some people give up with men for women, and you know, it's different ways people give up. But that's part of it. You're not gonna be in the hood to be condescending on people like that, and that's part of the struggle. You know, people that done gave up. You know, that's part of it. You know, that's what you're gonna see. In so many words. I mean, you see people out there drinking every day. What you think? They gave up. They ain't working. They ain't trying to. So why question it? You know what I'm saying? Unless they want help. I'ma just respect you where you at today. See, that's how a real ghetto person gonna do. I ain't gonna talk about you like Aunt Tina about you getting a job. I know I'm smart enough to know you don't want no job. I'm black. I know you don't want a job. All you trying to do is drink out here right now. And for you, that might be your therapy. You know what I'm saying? That might be how you get better. Some people like me, like they go to the streets and get better. They soul search. And they got a journey they got to go through. See, that's the real Africans that know what I'm talking about, man. You got a journey you got to go through on the streets. And you can't do it around your family. You can't do it around nobody because them, you know, us as indigenous people, we used to being in the elements. That's real. I'm not saying this in a funny way. We used to being in the elements. So we can get out there in America. You go out in the elements and you know, and you out there in the wild and you know, and you getting your mind together. You can't do it with your family because you got to work to be there. You got to pay rent, right? But you ain't ready to work. So a strong African can go thug it out on the streets. And then, meanwhile, you're just soul searching. Your soul need rest. Your soul ain't in rest. So some people out on the streets homeless because their soul ain't in rest. They can go work a job. Something ain't right. And so we don't have people in place to address those things. While people are really out on the street, you could say mental health. I say deeper than mental hygiene. It's people's soul ain't at rest. It's a lot of different. It's a very tricky situation. But the strongest of us can go out there in the streets like me, and I can get what I need for my soul. You know what I'm saying? And I can get out the streets and I can sit back and do a video, and you'll act like I ain't never been on the street. Now see, that's an African. That's me. I can go out and be under a bridge, and you like, how this dude is the same dude? We seen him under a bridge because I'm African. I can go out here in the streets, I can go survive, and I can get what I need for my soul. And I learned to look at it in the wild. I've been in the wild, and maybe you haven't. You know what I'm saying? And it's the best experience for an African, you know, to get with the elements and get away from America. You know what I'm saying? And you get out here and you're homeless, but you're away from the streets. That's the best advice I give you, is to get away from the streets. Don't be homeless all in black people's face, trying to party, trying to still smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? Go where you can get help on the streets, where you can get money when you get taken seriously, which means you gotta go to another side of town when you're homeless. That's the best thing to do. So some of these, I'm not being racist, some of these white folks can help you. You go on the side of town where the white people at, they can give you food every morning. You know, some white people gonna say, oh, I have you, I get you breakfast every morning if you come here and meet me here every morning. So it's always good white people that'll help you. You know what I'm saying? And if you're in the hood, most people gonna do what they can. You know what I'm saying? You can stay over there and for the sake of being with your people, but that's what got you burnt out. Sometimes you need to get away a little bit. You need to get on your own. And then your soul get what you need. You know what I'm saying? And women can't really do it. So they kind of lose. In a lot of cases, they kind of lose their mind. They quicker to do it. A man can just go to the streets. We just gonna thug it out on the streets. You know what I'm saying? And so it's this part of America, African America, that America don't understand. You see some of these people, they soul searching. And now it's worse than ever. You know, because times have changed, and the morality of the country has changed. And so people out there soul searching, they soul need rest. And they gotta go through that, they gotta go through the wilderness. They got to go through the jungle and just get back to self. Just clear everything out and get back to self. And so that's how some people soul search. And some Africans know how to do it and go through the streets and come back and go through these cycles, and some don't know how to do it. Sometimes we forced to do it, and we still make it an experience. Like me, this very last time, I didn't put myself in that situation. You know, it was a surprise situation. And, but I utilized it like I would usually on the streets. I gave it, you know, I used it to get my soul together. And some people do it in different ways. You know, and then you wonder how he was just on the streets, because I utilized the streets the right way. I utilized it the right way, whether you think I'm telling the truth or not. I know. So you might look at me and see me walking down the street, but you don't realize how I'm utilizing this situation. Well, I was fasting on the streets. I took it to the next level. See, that was, well, actually, that was part of my new experience. Was this last time around, I did it before, but I think I was a little more hardcore this time. You know, yeah, I think it was a little more hardcore, because I had to interact with the community a little more than the other time I was fasting on the streets. But I actually fast on the streets. When most people would think, oh, you need your energy to get jobs, I already know, you know how Americans think. You need your energy, you know, to go look for work, You know, and then you need your energy psychologically. You don't need to be on the streets and you going through all of this and you need to eat. I was in California fasting on the streets. I say humbly. You know what I'm saying? I was fasting on the streets. You know, devils were trying to give me food from Whole Foods. This person worked witchcraft, right? I'm gonna give you a perfect example of how close these people are in my footsteps. That's why God ain't having no mercy. So I was on a 7-day fast. I fast for a whole week in California on the streets. This was last year. So I was over there in San Francisco, right? And these witchcraft people, these Freemasons and all of that, they knew I was fasting, right? They was close enough to me with the mind reading and the telepathy and the psychic power to know I was fasting from my mind, right? Okay, so I was about like halfway through the fast. I kid you not. They had timed the time I got up at certain times of night, right? In my routines. This person dropped a whole bag of whole food. You know what whole food is, right? That organic food. While I was on a fast now. And I think I was halfway through. It wasn't the last day or 2 days. I was like about halfway through, which means I was on day 3 or day 4, right? So this person dropped a whole bag, no lie, of whole food. I seen this person, and then they just dropped the bag and walked and ran around. Yo, cartoon stuff, man. This dude definitely had the bag in his hand. So I'm in a block, and behind the block this person is on, and I'm across the street, like in a diagonal way. I'm looking over here, and I seen the person. Then I seen the bag on the ground. There was no bag before. You know how you scan and you can just tell there was no bag there before, right? You see this person come off the sidewalk and around another building and left a bag over there. They knew I was about to come over there because I had to cross the street. They would see the good thing about when being gang stalked and you're on the streets homeless. The good thing about creating a simple routine is your enemies are not disciplined enough to not take advantage of it. They know what you're gonna do, so I can just sit back and watch instead of trying to, like some people that might be gang stalked, trying to sophisticate your routes and switch up. Nah, don't do that. Because it ain't going to work anyway. It ain't going to work anyway. All it's going to do is make you more confused and feel more confused, trying to do these new routes and trying to go these new ways. You know, the best thing to do is keep the same route. And you're going to see everything. They're going to be so stupid that they're going to try to take advantage of it. And they're going to be doing all kind of stuff. And guess what? All you got to do is show God. See, this is what I'm talking about. God sees everything. See, this is why. This is why I'm against these people. That's all you got to do. God sees exactly why you're against these people. And you get to master everything they do, and you study these people. And you're going to be stronger than them. You're going to learn and everything. And see, you're really studying them and they think they're studying you. That's how I beat them. I know every little thing they do because I created simple routines and I didn't switch it up. I'm smart enough where I could have went different routes every day. I'm that complex. They don't think you are, but I am. I could have went different ways every day. I could have switched up every day, did different turns. I'm just quick on the head on the swivel. I'm a black man. I can throw you off if I want to throw you off. Especially if you're corny. If you're a corny person, I definitely can throw you off. But, and I lived in New York. I mean, I could have threw these people off. But that's feeding into the game. That's running you around. Instead, I'm gonna be a lion. I'm gonna be a lion, a beast. I'm gonna walk the same path every day, and you ain't gonna do nothing. You know where I'm at. You know where I sleep. And I'm from point A to point B, and you know what it is. You know where I rest, lay my head, and you ain't gonna do nothing. That's what a lion do. You get in, and you listen, you don't have no fear, and I don't switch it up. I don't try to sleep in different places. See, some people get spooked, And now you homeless on the streets. You want to sleep in different locations because of now you see gang stalkers around your path. No, I'm gonna lay right there. And it's not a challenge to God. God gonna take care of me. God gonna take care of this. That's what I did. I fasted on the streets the last time I was there, and as you can imagine, that took my prophetic anointing to another level. Because now you're in the wild, like John the Baptist, fasting homeless. When other people would say, most Christians wouldn't be caught, I ain't gonna say caught dead, but they wouldn't be on the streets fasting. Because they're gonna justify like, well, I need my strength to go look for work. I need my strength every day, psychologically, where I got all my juices going in my head. I don't need to be dried out fasting on the streets and I'm already in a hard situation. But see, that's the next level. That's the next level, man. So I was fasting literally on the streets. A Christian fast on the streets. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't broken from it. I do it just like I do fastings when I'm living somewhere in a house or an apartment. And they dropped off this one day when I was telling you about, they dropped that whole bag of Whole's food right in front of me to tempt me to break the fast. That's what it was about. I actually looked in the bag because I couldn't believe, I seen the person drop the bag, right? And I just looked in there and I seen a whole bunch of Whole Food stuff. It was a Whole Food bag, so I knew it was like Whole Food stuff, which is the organic stuff. So that's what's mind-boggling, how this person dropped all this expensive food. How this person just dropped Whole Food. You know what I mean? So I'm looking in the bag, it's organic pecans. That's the main thing I remember. It was all kind of organic food. I'm like, wow. The devil's trying to get me to break this fast. So what I did was I took the bag, and being the guy that I am on the streets, I have compassion on good people. Not everybody's good on the streets. But this food was so valuable, I couldn't just let it get thrown all around and kicked around by somebody else. So I took it to the grocery store. The grocery store was already closed. I took it to the grocery store and put it in the front of the grocery store. And in that city, in that town, the average homeless person gonna come through there and snoop around. And so they might have would have just took the bag for themselves. Like sometimes I would have took a good fresh bag for using the bathroom or just having other things in the bag. So I put a whole bag of, I know whoever got that was happy, boy. Like, that's total jackpot. Total jackpot. So I made it work out for where somebody got the experience, get to have that, but it was an attack against me to break my fast, Like, that's why now, like, so for me, I wouldn't say necessarily that was soul searching the last time I was on the streets. It was more spiritual growth in the prophetic zone. It was another level of it, interacting with the community while fasting or homeless on the streets. That's a whole different animal. And I know I can do it again. See, that's for the future. Depending on how much time we got left. You might have to fast on the streets and you can't be making no excuses. So now for me, I can say I went to sleep day in, day out fasting. And I started to think about it like, even if the whole society shut down and the amount of time that I'm fasting, somebody would have to go get food. So if I went on a 7-day fast, let's say the journey was like 3 days and a half, because that's half of 7, right? 3 days and a half, where somebody had to go get food 3 days and a half to get there, which is a long journey, and then 3 days and a half back. I could wait for somebody to get food for 7 days. See, that's just how a military-minded person will think. So if the world came and shut down, and the system shut down, and someone was going to make a run to get food, and it was a 7-day journey, I could go without food for 7 days, and I wouldn't miss a beat. And 7 days is a good journey. I mean, I done went city to city. That's going to another city. I also have training in being on foot from city to city. I've walked city to city. That's another level. See, each time I'm on the streets, I get something different. You know, that's how it is. And I've actually walked from one city to another. City to city to city, from state to state. I've walked from Florida to Georgia on foot. See, that's what the military respected. Any veterans that seen that, man, he walked from Florida to Georgia on foot. Yeah. And I got an experience out of it, you know, where most people would be afraid or scared or hysterical. I just went to the next level at being a soldier, as being a militant. Now I can go from city to city on foot, like a soldier, like a real soldier. I can go from city to city in America on foot. I know what it is to walk and go to whole nother city. You know, that puts you on a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? Because once your mind goes, this is what I teach. The mind goes over different thresholds. Your mind goes over different thresholds as a soldier, from a civilian to a soldier. What makes you a soldier is really not what you're skilled in learning. It's also your mind going over different thresholds to where now you're no longer a civilian. I'm no longer a civilian. I can't help it because my mind has went over certain thresholds. Like once you lived in the streets and you survived in the streets, your mind goes over certain thresholds. Once your mind goes over that threshold, like you have that experience under your belt, you ain't gonna be the same person. It's impossible. It's impossible for you to be the same person. That's why I would tell people that, you know, being homeless is one of the best ways to grow a soldier, a homegrown soldier. Put them out in the streets. This person got to fend for their food. They got to live in the elements, the cold, the water. I've been on the streets when there's snow on the ground. Homeless with snow on the ground, not going to a shelter. No, I said not going to a shelter, homeless with snow on the ground. Not going to a shelter. Some people, it built like that. I was on the streets homeless with snow on the ground, buddy. Feet so cold. Your feet have to thaw out before you, while you land. Once you get where you're going, you laying down, wherever you lay down, your feet gotta thaw out. That's how cold it is. I was on the streets with snow on the ground. Was it real? It was decent, significant. Where it stuck. It stayed for more than a couple days. You know, coming down pretty heavy. I remember actually, soon as I hit the streets, the snow came down. So I just went straight to where I was at. Like my little spot. But I remember hitting the streets and it started snowing as soon as I hit the streets. No lie. I had to go in. I stayed in for like 2 or 3 days. I think I had already had food with me and everything. So then, you know, your mind just go over thresholds when you live on the streets. You know what I'm saying? You don't see what people think is you go crazy on the streets. That's not true. It's depending on how you utilize it. Your age could play a factor in everything. And with my age, I just used the streets as a soldier. You know what I'm saying? I just became a stronger person. That's how I looked at it. I utilized it for that reason. And my mind crossed over thresholds that the average person's mind hasn't crossed over. You know what I'm saying? With that being able to handle, because basically when you in a war in the military, you're basically in the elements. On the battlefield, you're in the elements. You're gonna have to hunt for your food. You're gonna get rained on. You're gonna go through cold. You're gonna go through all of that somebody homeless go through. It's the same thing. The only difference is you ain't in armed combat, but you got dangerous elements still around that you got to watch out for. And so you get intuition. You know, being on the streets, you get good intuition. That's why I know what I know. You know, you get strong intuition and everything. And so then you just become another kind of breed of American that, you know, is more in touch with reality than even the ghetto. Ghetto people, that ain't the new ghetto is homeless, where you learn to survive on the streets and everything like that. That's the new ghetto right now. So people from all these hard neighborhoods, man, they gonna talk about entrepreneurship and starting a bakery and all that kind of. That's cool. Don't get me wrong, that's cool, but they not really in touch with these elements of struggle like people that's homeless. Like that's where you're gonna get these fresh conversations about struggle and everything else, you know, and how the world is right now and everything and all of that, you know, in the real condition, because they gonna see it, you know, being out there 24/7. They gonna see the streets. They gonna know what the streets is. That's why people will look at us and say, see, how do we stay relevant? Because I'm in the streets, literally. And they didn't look at it that way. I got to interact with all these people and their energy. I'm having these conversations with people, conversations they ain't paying attention to. And I'm interacting with people and they not paying attention to those interactions. So I'm constantly staying up to date and relevant, because all I'm going to do is God going to drop me into the elements, and I'm going to soak up all the energy of what's going on. And I'm going to be more harder, more smarter, more cutting edge. You know, more cutting edge, you know, and so that's why, like, I don't allow people that like stay in facilities and stuff like this. I don't allow them. People are out of touch. They probably been in these shelters for 10, 20 years. I left the shelter system in seriously like 10 years ago in 2016. I haven't seriously lived in a shelter in 10 years. I go out and be on the streets. I'd rather be on the streets because it's a lot of mental sickness in places like this. That's why I avoid these places and anything like this. You know, that's why I'll probably be in New York maybe 2 or 3 more years, something like that. About the duration of Trump's administration, that's about it. That'll probably do it for me, and that sounds about right. You know, I'll probably leave around after Trump get out of office. You know what I'm saying? Just try to find my way, because you know, it's just certain kind of people. We most of us that are true survivors, we got away from them. You know, people that lost their mind, or people like, cause I've been to Wards Island. That's what spook even a shelter person. Ooh, you been to Wards Island? They scared of that, cause literally in Wards Island, man, which most of these shelter people are candidates for Wards Island. That's where they should be. Cause they mental, man. I mean, whether it's being psychotic, or you suffer from psychosis, or whatever, you bipolar, whatever, schizophrenic, you know, you should be at Wards Island. I went to Wards Island and survived. You know what I'm saying? Held my head. Any New Yorker know what I'm talking about. See, people from out of town don't know, but Wards Island is a animal. I can't even imagine how it is now. After COVID, it's probably crazy. It's probably real crazy. Or it was crazy during COVID, but yeah, I was on Wards Island striving every day. I just got out of there every day, man. I went somewhere every day, and that was a task, but I survived, and I walked out of there getting respect from the big dudes in there. You know, once I found a big dude in there, like a survivor, you know what I'm saying, I bonded with that person, and that was it. That's what made it normal for me. But man, it's a lot of sick people in there, like in Wards Island, man. It's just thick. Mental sickness is thick. But I always found my way to certain healthy people, man, you know. And but that's how hardcore, if you want to know how hardcore the shelters I've been through is like Wards Island. You know, nobody wants to go there. It had a reputation. I heard of its reputation before I even went there, which made it more challenging from, I mean, you know, initially, you know, you don't know what it's gonna be, and but once you apply, real principles and real mentality, and you can't be broken. I'm people can't break me. I've been around too many different elements like that. Nah, I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran with all this stuff. That's why I know what I'm dealing with. And so yeah, I went through Ward's Island with passing colors, flying colors, man. But a lot of these people that's mentally sick, that's in these gang stalking cults and stuff like that, they need to be at Ward's Island. That's what in New York. If they're here in New York, and they gonna act normal, they could even look normal. But them people are built for like Ward's Island, man. You know what I'm saying? They gone. They mind ain't right. They still here physically, but they mind is they like a rabid dog. A rabid dog. You gotta put them down. In the South, that's what we call it. You gotta put them down because the rabid dog ain't gonna never be no more good. And I've been saying this like before. The woman in Greenland. If everybody watched that clip of the woman in Greenland, she talked about a rabid dog that once it bites you, it got to be taken out from the sleigh and killed. It's basically similar to that, man. When people are rabid, in their mind, and they let their mind go to certain places. This is coming from me as a soldier. You know what I'm saying? My mind passed over thresholds to become stronger as a soldier. But like when people do crazy stuff, you can't come back to being normal. That's the thing about it. You can't be a psycho and then turn it off. It has to be justified. See, while I can play a position of destroying my enemies, it's justified. So my mind wraps itself around that in its own way, and it justifies my position and still esteems me as normal because it's justified why I do this to these people. But if it ain't justified, you're gonna go crazy. If you play with a human being and it's not justified, you're gonna go crazy. Cause you are crazy. But if you do something to somebody and they deserve it, that's your mind is gonna rationalize it and you're gonna stay normal. That's 7 hours. You're gonna stay normal because your mind is telling you this is why. You're getting an explanation. You're giving an explanation to yourself. And you're gonna remain normal. Therefore, you ain't gonna drift off to some crazy world because you're gonna justify in a normal world, in a normal mindset, why you would do this. So, and like I said, once you justify to God why these people did, why you're the need to go to war, God is gonna be on your side. God is gonna be on your side because God don't play no games. Okay, these people went against us. Okay, they in a cartoon world where they don't think nothing happened to them. That's the main thing they stuck on. They don't think nothing can happen to them. And so, but it does. Something does happen to them. And so, once we get God's approval of a war, it doesn't matter what anybody say. Sun Tzu taught this in The Art of War. You fight even against the government and authorities' wishes. You fight even against the authorities' wishes. You still fight. It don't matter if, and those authorities could be black people. Those authorities could be the culture. It could be whoever feels like you're a problem. Sun Tzu taught this. You fight no matter if the authorities like it or not. And he taught you don't fight if you can't win. Even if the authorities of the country want you to fight, you can't win, you don't fight. Even if they want you to fight. So in my case, even if people act like it's a problem, it's too justified, I'm gonna fight. Because I know I can win. And I'm gonna fight because it's a justified war. And I don't care what authorities and what people. and what community has a problem with it. See, that's me being a student of Sun Tzu, right? Nobody can break me, man. I mean, are you serious? I've been through these situations a million times. For me, all it is taking one day at a time. That's how I address everything. Handle my appointments, keep all my appointments, things I gotta do. And I don't try to rush to do them to prove anything to anybody either. Like if I know I got something to do and I could do it earlier, but I take it and spread it out to a month because I know what I'm doing, I trust my intuition and I don't rush to prove anything to anybody. I know why I'm taking my time. I know I can give you a handful of reasons why I'm always doing things the way I'm doing it. So, I don't try to rush and I don't try to prove anything. When you're at my age, I don't try to prove anything. I'm too old to try to prove anything to anybody. So, that's basically what it is, man. Everything's going good. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking care of my situation. You know what I'm saying? As you can see, I'm taking care of the whole situation. The world has changed. Glory to God. God has changed the world. Everything has changed. It's nothing is gonna be the same. Nothing is gonna be like it was. And the old world is gone. All this stuff has happened within Trump's first year of presidency. You got 3 more years solid to deal with this person. So that's what we're focused on. You got a person that just got killed out in what was that? Minneapolis, where Prince is from. I've been to Minneapolis before. I actually been there. I got pictures to prove it. I've been to Minneapolis. I knew ICE was gonna start killing innocent people. In so many ways, I already thought that was gonna happen. It was gonna get out of control. They're going right down the path I thought about. Aggressive, overly aggressive, everything I thought about. And you can't sleep on that. You can't sleep on the outcome of what that's gonna do to this community, because now they're talking about shutting down the government because they don't want to help fund ICE no more. And now they changing the name. You see, now they call them federal agents or something like that. I'm like, I almost got confused. Okay, is it the feds or is this ICE? ICE already done got demonized already within the first year. They don't even want to call it ICE after 1 year. No, that's the truth. Look at the new headlines. Where the last person got shot and killed, it was saying federal agents. I'm like, this was called ICE just yesterday. This was called ICE just 2 weeks ago. Now it's saying federal agents they trying to dress it up because now ICE is just a trigger. It's just a trigger word now for people. Since that girl Renee Good got shot, ICE is just a trigger. All this stuff, all of it. It's not getting better, I can't tell you what type of people ICE are, but I know they're not too much differently than cops. And you already know how cops are in this country. Not military. Military is a whole different animal. They move differently. You're going to see military interact with the community way differently. That's something to think about. Police and military don't interact with the community the same way. You could say because cops are just burnt out or whatever from dealing with the community, but that separates the competent from the incompetent. If some people burnt out from dealing with the community, that's why they don't care who they hurt. That's why they don't care. You gotta look at ICE. Everywhere they go, they're hearing whistles. Can you imagine doing that, Jock? I'm not on his side. I'm not supporting him. But man, everywhere you go, you're hearing whistles and everything. Can you imagine that? Man, whistles in your face all day. Man, they probably had headaches and everything. Think about it. You hear all them sounds and everything. That's just a warp, a time warp or something. A Twilight Zone. Man, that's gotta be weird. Everywhere you go, you hear whistles and people just all that stuff. That's why they don't care. The thing about that dude, I don't understand. This last dude that got shot. My thing is this: if you got him down, the first thing you're gonna do is secure his hands. So how did you want? Ain't no man strong enough where you got 2 and 3 and 4 or 5. It was at least 4 dudes on him, right? Okay, so the first objective is gonna be everybody's objective. Is to disarm this man, right? Not one dude doing this and one dude doing that. Everybody gonna be on the same objective. But maybe that's the difference between the cops and military-minded people. Because I know once you got this guy down, right, the next objective is to take his hands and everybody, it's a joint effort. No one's scratching his hair. Nobody's massaging his hair. You know, everybody that's there is arming this man's, taking this man's hands and arms. And if that would have been done, then how would he would have had a gun? How would he would have been able to get to a gun? That's just people that's not focused. I don't know how to describe it, man. I can't tell you, man. But am I right or wrong? That's what should have been done. They once they got him down, everybody should have went after his hands. And as get as many people on his hands, and then the rest maybe on his legs. And then he wouldn't have been able to do nothing. How you got 3 and 4 dudes on him, and then he winds up being a threat with a gun? Once he's down, how is he a threat with a gun? That's my thing. I can see crazy situations, man. But if white folks ain't learned nothing, man, listen, man. Americans, period, man. These people are like cops. You might be seeing ICE as some different brand of agency. They are like American cops. Can't you see? Okay? You see how often they've been killing us as black people all throughout the past 10 years or so. Since Ferguson, it's been a whole different lane with these police. Since Ferguson, right? And even if that kid was right or wrong, it's just been a whole different lane since then. Now it's 10 years later, literally, since COVID. Since Ferguson. It's 11 years, actually. This is going to be 12 years, coming on 12 years. I remember I had just got back from LA, Los Angeles, when Ferguson happened. I had just went back down south, and me and my mom was watching Ferguson, and all of that stuff happened. You know, so I seen all that live footage and all the stuff, the riots and all of that in Ferguson, and it just hasn't been the same. The relationship between the police and in the streets, it's not the same. And maybe white America don't realize that, but it's not like it used to be. And these people are more frustrated. People like them are more frustrated, and you can understand why, because of all the harassment and everything they go through. They more on edge, you know. They more angry, on edge, you know. They ain't liking no part of it, especially now. It's already demonized. ICE agents are already demonized, and they got to go through all kinds of stuff. And I'm not condoning. I'm not on their side or nothing like that. You know, I just like how I talk about criminals. I talk about everything, the police. I talk about everything openly. I talk about everything as it is. Better to say. I talk about everything as it really is, in reality. And so, you know, ICE,
It's already burnt out. You know, first year they already done, and look, they got 3 more years to go. Man, and they not going nowhere. And you know why? Because the Republicans are going to bring up the obvious. You know, you got illegal migrants here. They're still doing crimes. Wasn't the last person I mean, it's always something going on, man, with the illegal migrants, man. Let's just put it like that. You know, it's no way in the world you're gonna get America to get rid of ICE. You just not. You just not. You ain't gonna get the whole collective American community, including black people, to want to get rid of ICE. It's not gonna happen. That's what Hispanic and Latinos got to understand. You know, long as that illegal migrant element is there, they're not going to get rid of ICE. Now, if they got a certain amount of illegal migrants out, significantly a significant number, then you can talk about getting rid of ICE. But that's talking about like 2 more years. Seriously, it's not going to happen, bro. It's just not going to happen. So, you know, Democrats got to come. Democrats are already threatening to shut down the government because of ICE funding and everything like that. But the thing about it is this, man. I'm gonna say it how I want to say it. You know, illegal migrants is a threat to everybody. And I'm not saying that because of race. It's because it's people that's criminal in nature that's doing crimes out here. You know what I'm saying? They out here with basically nothing to lose, and they doing all kind of stuff. You know, and that's a threat to everybody in their family. You know, they raping kids. They done rape kids right here in New York. They done raped a girl right here in New York. It's a threat. You know what I mean? And with that being said, you can't act like ICE is not necessary, or you just gonna get rid of ICE. You know, the culture already done demonize them, and that ain't gonna move them. I'm telling you right now. You might as well get used to them. Because as long as the illegal migrant element is here, they're not getting rid of them. That's common sense. And you shouldn't want them to, because these people are threats against all of us. You can look at race, or you can use common sense where they not looking at race. Common sense is, wisdom is, the illegal migrants ain't looking at your race. They ain't looking at you and talking about, oh, well, you're a Mexican like me. They raping little girls here in America. They didn't think, oh, she's a Mexican girl, let me look out for her. They didn't think that. So then what are you going to do? You're forced to go with the obvious. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's a threat to you and your family, and they not considering your family. But you looking at race. See, that's a perfect example of just going with race to a fault. Like the Freemason told me, being nice to a feeble-minded. The definition of nice, being feeble-minded. You know, you gotta look at things the right way, whether it hurts or not. In this case, it might hurt you a little bit to see your people go through being dragged into these ICE facilities and everything like that. That's gonna hurt. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, what's gonna hurt you more is if your kid wind up raped and killed. And you can't say it's not possible. You can't say I'm tripping. You can't say it's not possible. So then what is there left to do? What is there left to do? What is there left to do? You gotta prioritize your family first, which means ICE gotta stay. And the best thing would be to do is to kind of let up off of them a little bit. That would be the best thing to do. Because all it's doing is making it, it's like stirring up a hornet nest. All you making these people do is you're making these bees more angry. That's all you're doing.
the bottom line is you forget that these are grown men with ego, men and women. Okay, now imagine if you gotta serve and do a job out here, and and you're a person that hasn't done these things that other ICE agents have done, but you gotta take what the next man done. You ain't done it yourself, but you gotta take this, and all it's doing is infuriating you. You're human. You might not break, but you're gonna get angry. All they doing is stirring up a hornet nest. That's all they doing, and that's why they stinging everybody, cause they've been stirred up all week, all the time. They stirring them up, blowing stuff in their face and all of that. And and the truth is, this person that's in front of you has not done none of this stuff. So until you see him do something on sight, it's like you accusing him of this other stuff that's been done by these other ICE agents. That's all you're doing. It's kind of stupid of approach. It's almost teenager, juvenile. This guy right here hasn't done any of this stuff you're talking about. So where are you going to get with him? How far are you going to get with this guy? Now, on site, if you see him do something on site, like it has been in many cases, it has been that way in many cases, that's when you start blowing horns and everything like that, right? But if you just see ICE agents, in Latino culture, they just saying if you see ICE agents blow horns and stuff, this is what's stirring up their hornet nest. This is why they stinging people. After all, these are Americans. These ain't no little boys. Come on now, come on. You playing with grown men that have no choice but to be on the front lines of getting these illegal migrants. And you can't say nobody ain't got to do it, because I can show you how Latino little girls getting raped. So off the strength of that, you can't say it's not necessary. Okay. So then what happens? How do we get the illegal migrants that's raping these little girls and stuff? Your own kids, not black kids, Latino kids. Okay, so then how you suggest we get them? How you suggest we get these type of people? Because it's a reality. It's still going on, right? You can't be too safe about this. So then what is your approach? What suggestions do you have? And that's what I'm talking about. You ain't got no suggestions. You ain't got nothing to say. All you can sit back and talk about how the clash is between the community and ICE, and that's all you can do. Meanwhile, your children is in danger of being raped by some of these dudes. That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying? So it ain't going nowhere. All the government is gonna do is show the portfolio of illegal migrants doing all type of crimes that we don't even do as Americans. That's all they gotta do. All they gotta do is show these extreme crimes, like raping a little girl in broad daylight, like that one dude did. He raped her in front of her boyfriend. She was a little girl with a little boyfriend. He made him watch all kind of stuff. Look at that. This happened right here in New York. In Queens, right? Ain't no way in the world you gonna tell me you gonna convince the Americans to get rid of ICE. It's not gonna happen, little buddy. And see, what it is, man, see, some of y'all, you get on the Democratic bandwagon and you start riding this Democratic bandwagon, and you gonna ride with them on anything. See, I know without even looking at it, Democrats are against ICE. Cause Democrats gonna go with all pro-black or Hispanic or Latino issues. This is the balance. You gotta have balance in everything you talk about. If you're a master that don't have balance in what you discuss and what you talk about, everybody gonna see the extreme. The extreme is gonna be, it's gonna leave you handicapped on the things you don't address. Ain't no way in the world you gonna have these illegal migrants running around here raping these little girls, and you telling me you gonna get rid of ICE? See, you downplay those situations. Now let a white man do it. Let a white man do this. You know what I'm saying? So you downplay it when it ain't white people. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. This is what made me think a lot of people are fake. You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as you see people raping little girls. You shouldn't. You gotta let ICE coexist. You got to. That's it. That's all you need. You gotta let them. You gotta learn to coexist. That's the bottom line. I mean, and I mean, it ain't gonna be perfect. They out there on ground level. It ain't gonna never be perfect. But at the same time, what makes you a grown, mature man or woman is that you gotta let them coexist, even though it's not perfect. They still gotta be in here. And see, that's what makes us the strongest. That's what makes you the best. But just acting like ICE is not gonna be here is just unreasonable. Cause what's gonna happen? Who's gonna do what? I mean, the police ain't gonna go out there. So ICE is the only one really doing it. So man, it's just common sense when it comes to that, man. I just use a common sense approach. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm on their side, but let's come back to let's come back to an obvious understanding that we have to have people here that get these illegal migrants that's a threat to your children and families out of here. They gotta go. They gotta go, right? Okay, so you can hate it, but ICE has to be here. They have to be here. They gotta be here. So let's just get past that part. They gotta be here, right? Okay. Cause I'm telling you, this government, this present administration is not letting these migrants just run around and get rid of ICE. That's not gonna happen. Democrats is gonna be pro-black and pro-Hispanic and Latino issues. Any issues got something to do with them three ethnicities. Democrats gonna ride with anything they go through. That's how I know Democrats is with them. I know Democrats is with ICE. I mean, against ICE. And what you gotta understand is you gotta be able to be intellectually masculine, to stand on your own and think for yourself. To where, you realize that these Democrats gonna ride with them regardless. They gonna rev up the community to get you to be against ICE and everything. And really, they just playing politics, half of them. They gonna be with pro-black problems. That's like cartoon. Like they gonna come out here and step out here for issues with black people, the issues with Hispanic and Latinos. And you gotta be intellectually masculine to say, okay, let me stand on my own as far as how I'm processing this. That's called, what I coined the term is called intellectual masculinity, where you're intellectually masculine to form your own opinion about a situation, not taking somebody else's perspective. I'm intellectually masculine, so I realize in a perfect world, I mean, in a world where I would care about what goes on here, ICE has to coexist. They have to coexist with the community. They have to, because they're still illegal migrants, thousands of them. You need to see numbers. So you need to see numbers to be refreshed on how many, because you might get scrambled brain and think about 100 migrants are here. It's not 100 migrants. It's hundreds of thousands. It's probably more like that, realistically. It's hundreds of thousands. Think about it. It's tens of thousands. You think it's just tens of thousands over the whole country, illegal migrants. It's hundreds of thousands. It might even be millions. I'm serious, but it's at least hundreds of thousands. It at least is. About what I would say, about 400,000. That's about right. It's about 400,000 migrants, about 500,000 of them. Right here. You know what I mean? In America. That's about right, about 400,000. I'm telling you, that's what it is. That's about right. That about sums it all up right there. And ain't no way in the world with them type of numbers, with 400,000 people, that's some of them, 30% of that, 30% of them are inclined to do crimes to survive, right? Let's just say to survive. Let's just look at it that way. But then you might have 10%, which is 5% that's inclined to do criminal crimes against your family. You gotta incorporate, which is about 35%. Well, let's just say 25%. About a quarter. Realistically. 5% of them will do crimes against your family. 20 other percent would do other kind of crime. That's about right, about a quarter. 20 to 25% of them. That's about a quarter. You know what I'm saying? You got, you got 3/4 that may not do none of that stuff, but they still here illegally. You know what I mean? You got a quarter of them that will, the 1/4 that will go out here and do all kind of stuff. So you gotta consider this element, man. You gotta consider it ain't going nowhere. This element ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? That's why I keep my brain on a swivel. Forget the head part. Put your brain on a swivel. Put your brain on a swivel, bruh. You gotta have these people here. You gotta have ICE here. Because if you don't, you think these people care about you to come here because ICE slow down and they gonna chill with